the one thing with Walk is we've kind of played a massive game of tennis going back and forth with what he feels like he needs to do versus what he really needs to do. And until, we can get a full commitment out of him to just say, all right, this is where I'm at. If I'm looking at the numbers, it's not the best. But for me, there's a really easy way out. He might have to be a little bit more uncomfortable to be able to achieve what we wanted to achieve.
That was Brant Brown yesterday on KMOX's Gas House Gang alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We're going to do a lot of Jordan Walker talk today. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. YouTube chat is available for you at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. And yes, the mic drop feature is on the 101 ESPN app. That is where you can find the Scott Lee Heating mic drop feature. Because, Alex, yesterday, Brant Brown got a conversation started. And for me, my biggest takeaway from all of this is I think for the first time, public perception has shifted on Jordan Walker. I think some of, whether you want to call it blame or the onus, whatever you want to call it, all of that has gone from the organization, from the coaching staff to the player. I think it is now being squarely pointed at, all right, it is time for Jordan Walker to take his career into his own hands and to make the changes that are necessary for him to have success at this level. Take a listen. This is Brant Brown, an extended version of the conversation on what Jordan Walker needs to do in order to have more success at this level.
At some point in time, he's going to have to devote more focus on preparation. We've had long conversations with this. Is not only looking at film on the starter, but also being able to come in and the first day of a series, just take a look at all the bullpen guys, all the information and videos available. Just so we're not getting snuck up on when a guy comes in. When Jordan Walker is ready to be good, I feel like it's going to be up to him. We all know the potential. I don't even think he knows the ceiling. And to all these words is we always talk about this is okay, well, this is what they're doing to you and this is what you want to do. But if you can't do what you want to do, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to counterattack? Trying to continue to make the point of how preparation, how movement patterns can we counterattack? We're going to have to give up something to get something. So for a while, until we can show them that we can do this, they're going to stay there. And then once you start to do it, well, then guess what? You get to come back to what you want to do because they're going to have to do something else. So it's just a constant game. It's a big gambit of zigging and zagging. And I just think that, he's still in zig mode, and the zag mode is it's a stone's throw away.
When you get into a fight with your significant other and it's a real nasty fight, you're not in the wrong.
No.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like BK to a T, doesn't it? You're not in the wrong.
I don't know where this is going, but nope.
But you've explained your part. You've explained where you've come from multiple times, every angle, and you've painted the picture as to why you're not in the wrong. And you basically say, look, I've done everything I can for this fight. You come to me when you're ready to talk. And then you just leave it there. You say, come to me when you're ready to have a conversation. That's essentially what Brant Brown just did. I'm going to make another reference, and I don't mean to get religious on everybody here, but you remember in the Bible? Hold on.
Okay, that's enough over there. Yeah, that's enough over there.
This is just a prequel to the theology podcast we're going to do. In the Bible, when Caesar washes his hands before they hand over Jesus to the people, they're washing their hands of this. They're basically saying, look, Jordan, we have spent this entire season of runway for you to figure out what your issues are. We figured it out with Alec Burleson. We figured it out with multiple guys on our roster. Even Nolan Gorman right now has got it figured out. You don't. There's nothing else we can do for you now. So we're washing our hands of this. We are looking at you saying, Jordan, you've got a month left of the season to take what we have given you this year and make it work for the major leagues. Start to show us that you're willing to make changes because there's nothing else we can do. So that's essentially when I heard all of these comments and then heard Ollie talk post-game, it's okay, the Cardinals are done. They are saying we are done with this experiment of trying to make Jordan Walker work. The only person that's going to make Jordan Walker work is Jordan Walker, and now it's on him.
I agree with about 95% of what you just said until you get to the last part of we're done. I don't feel that way at all. I think they're trying to get, in every way possible, Walker to come to them. I think they are, what you said about the argument with your wife, where you say, hey, I'm not in the wrong, come to me when you're ready to talk. I think they're trying to get Jordan Walker to come talk. They're like, hey, man, we want to talk so badly. We want to work through this stuff with you. But you need a willing participant on the other side, because ultimately, it's not Ollie. It's not Brant Brown. It wasn't Turner Ward going into the box to hit. It's Jordan Walker. It's his career, man. Ultimately, he's the one that's going to have either the successes or the failures. The hope for everybody inside of that organization is that Jordan Walker is talked about far beyond what Brant Brown has discussed or what Ollie Marmol has discussed. The hope is, man, this guy can be everything that we've been saying the Cardinals lack. He can be the solid outfielder that hits 280 with 30 bombs, 100 ribbies every year. You put him in pin in the 3-hole. That was always the goal for Jordan Walker. But he can't get there without making changes. And this is where I think it gets really interesting. I find everything about Jordan Walker's career to be fascinating. Disappointing, frustrating, maddening at times, but incredibly interesting. Because Walker clearly has all of the traits. You can see it, dude. The guy is ridiculously talented. We talked about this the other day with his home run. He touched the ball. He did not have like a great A swing on that pitch. He touched the ball, and it went 410 feet to dead center field and was gone. It was a missile off of the bat. That is what he's capable of. But they have to get into a place where he's making that contact with more regularity. And as currently constructed, he can't. He's incapable of it. We talked about this when he was going well. You saw, like, okay, the positive reinforcements are coming there. He's having some success. It was a 2-week stretch where everything was going Walker's way. And then you look under the hood. It didn't take long. I can do this with publicly available data. It's like, dude, nothing has actually really changed here. He's just getting lucky. Like, the ball is finally kind of like what it was for Andre Palante all season long, where he's getting unlucky. Walker is getting really fortunate here, and unless something actually changes, this isn't going to continue. Well, nothing changed. And guess what? Over the past 2 weeks, it's been the opposite. In his last 16 games, this is 55 at-bats, he's 7 for 55, which is a 127 batting average, with a 385 OPS. It's been a disaster. The same thing is happening once again. 2 weeks of high, 2 weeks of lows, and I would say this is more sustainable than the highs were for Jordan Walker. So if I'm in Brant Brown's shoes and I've got an opportunity to publicly disclose, all right, man, we've been doing this back and forth for 4 months now. It's time for me to take my frustrations public, so that way maybe you'll read this stuff, and maybe, if we're just being honest, you'll get a little embarrassed. Yeah. It sucks. It's not fun. But sometimes you have to speak to the player through the media. I think they tried speaking to the media, or speaking to the player through the media, by giving him praise. Hey, we've been trying all these different changes. It's finally taking. And he got the public reinforcements as well with the success that was taking place. So it's like, all right, positivity. Build him up. This is going to work. Jordan, here we go. This is working for you, man. Then it stopped working. And then I think Walker reverted back to some of his old habits. And they're sitting there saying to themselves, like, what can we do to change this? This is all we got. Yeah. We can go to the media. We can say this publicly. Maybe the fans start talking about it a little bit more. And maybe that is what gets Jordan Walker to come back to the water. Hey, drink the water, big boy. We got this. We're holding your hand. We're ready to go. So far, it hasn't worked. Maybe this will.
Yeah, it's your last-ditch effort, which is why, I mean, it's my personal opinion. You're probably right, but I do think the Cardinals are just frustrated to the point where it's like, look, this is it. We've got other guys that could play the outfield in terms of Herrera and Burleson. I mean, heck, yesterday Nathan Church was playing in the outfield for the Cardinals. It's like they've got other guys that they'd rather play out there. And I don't know how much more of the Cardinals are going to be willing to say, look, let's just keep figuring this out. We're going to keep hammering away at this. It makes no sense to put him down into the minors because he can't fix anything down there anymore. So you become a platoon bat. You become a bat that comes off of the bench, which is, I mean, it's death to a career if you're Jordan Walker. So I don't know if the Cardinals are done with him to the sense they move him this offseason. Probably not, because it doesn't make much sense. But to me, I heard those comments, and it's, yeah, we're done with this experiment. This is our last-ditch effort. We're going Hail Mary here with Jordan Walker, and then after this, it's done for. Also, let me correct myself. I said Caesar. It's Pontius Pilate. Don't invite me on the theology podcast.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. We did get a couple of texts. I want to hear from T-Bone as well from the 314. My friends and I debated Walker's intelligence over a year now. Maybe he's just not that smart, not smart enough for the majors.
I'm not going down that path.
No, I would actually say the opposite. I think Walker is a really bright kid. Really bright kid. I think sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes you can be too smart. Like, some of the best hitters in the world are just baseball savants. And they go out there and it's see-ball, hit ball. They can't explain why. They don't want to explain why. They just know it works for them. It's about feel. There are some guys that are just truly feel hitters. And this is why every coach has to know the player. Because some guys do not want the information. They want to go out there and play the game that they've always been playing, and that's enough for them, and they make a Hall of Fame career off of it. It's happened many times before in the past. It will continue to in the future. I don't think that's Walker. I think Walker is a guy that needs a little more than that. However, I think what he reverts back to is what has felt comfortable to him. And I think this is where there is a bit of a difference between the organization and the player is Walker is thinking to himself, understandably so, man, I became a first-round pick with this swing. I became a guy that flew through your minor league system and reached the big leagues by the time that I was 21 years old with this swing. I had a really productive rookie season with this swing and with this approach. And now you're telling me I got to change everything? No. And so for a long time, I think that's the way that the conversation went back and forth, is he had that belief in himself, and the organization said, what you're doing is not going to work. But there wasn't enough negative reinforcements yet for him to change what he was doing. This year, I think that changed. There was a little more buy-in. I think he realized, all right, what I'm doing is not working. I've got to change something. So he started to change stuff, but then there was negative reinforcements to the changes, and so he's like, all right, I'm going to revert back, whether it was consciously or subconsciously. And there's this game that continues to go on and on and on. And I think Alex is right. I think the organization is trying to figure out what we can do to get this guy to make the changes that are necessary, because they all see what we see, which is the talent and what can be unlocked in there if they're able to unlock it.
Yeah. And I mean, if going down that path, if on the Jordan Walker side, it shouldn't take you up to this season with the failures. Like last year, you got sent to the minor leagues because you were so bad with it. That's the part that I feel like this is Jordan Walker, to where it's like, look, man, you can't be so stern on, I'm going to revert back to what got me to the major leagues, because it's not working at the major leagues. You may have 2 weeks of spurts where it feels like it's right, but you're a regression candidate. Every single 2 weeks, it's going to go right back down to where you were. There's got to be consistency. So to sit there and say, well, I'm going to go back to what got me here, man, it got you sent back to the minors 2 years in a row. So now there has to be a, look, I understand it, but these coaches know what's best for me at the major league level. It's not working. I'm going to have to stick with this and stick it through.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK. We do want to hear from you. I also want to hear T-Bone's thoughts on this coming up on the other side. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. YouTube chat is available for you at youtube.com/101ESPN STL, and the mic drop feature. The Scott Lee Heating mic drop feature is on the 101 ESPN app. When you heard Brant Brown's comments yesterday, or you read what Ollie Marmol had to say to reporters yesterday, or you read what Jordan Walker had to say to reporters yesterday, what came to mind for you? How do you feel about their current situation with Jordan Walker? We'll get into all of that, and I do want to hear, I do want to respond to this text message from the 618 as well. Guys, they screwed Walker up with the launch angle prep. They got into his head. They made him start thinking and doubting himself, which is the last thing that you want for a hitter. We'll talk about that and whether or not there is blame to go all around with this coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
With Jordan Walker, it's like taking one step forward and 2 steps back. 1 step forward and 2 steps back. This dude, Jordan Walker, needs to take a walk away from the Cardinals. It's awful. He doesn't even know where he's walking, forwards or backwards, but clearly he's walking backwards.
He had an idea of the essay he wanted to write, and he created it around the Walker joke.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, got that idea.
It's great. What did he reference? Walk like 4 times. See how he slow played it too? He was like, he needs to walk away.
I don't think he knew where he was going.
No, I knew.
He got there.
He knew exactly where he was going.
What grade would you give that? Scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, D+. I'll give him D+ for the effort. It's not a complete fail.
I thought it was
He tried.
Yeah.
I give it like a 6 out of 10. It was fine.
D+, 60%.
Wouldn't say it went particularly well, though. I'll say that much.
Keep trying, Andrew. At some point, you'll get to a B.
I do understand the sentiment, though. Like, the idea of, hey, Walker, you need to get this thing back on track. There have been 1 step forward, 6 steps backwards. That seems to be the common theme here with Jordan Walker's career. No disagreement there whatsoever. It's just the walk puns.
And I get the part where the Cardinals need to walk away from him and just leave it up to him.
Do you guys feel that way? Do you guys feel like we are arriving at a place where the Cardinals are reaching a breaking point this offseason? Like, if the last month of the season doesn't go well, he should be gone next year. He should not be on the roster next year.
I don't know. Should be seems a little too extreme. I do feel like the Cardinals aren't going to be planning around him after this season. They're going to go into next season, if it continues to fail after this, and say Burleson and Herrera and Victor Scott or whomever are going to be everyday players for us in the outfield. Or frankly, maybe Brendan Donovan becomes an everyday outfielder for us. But Jordan Walker is no longer in the plans to where we have to make it work with him. That's the part that I feel after their comments, they're done with this. There's no more trying to make Jordan Walker work. It's going to be Jordan Walker. You're going to have to impress on the chances you get.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on that one because, to an extent, I do feel like you are at that crossroads, because if you're going to come out and you're going to call them out publicly like they have here of, hey, it's time for you to kind of figure this out. We're no longer going to be the ones that kind of shield you from the public criticism. It is now on Jordan Walker to try and figure this out and come to us and start really adapting to our changes. Well, if he doesn't adapt to the changes now, what's the sign that it's suddenly going to change? Now, the reason that I say I'm 50-50 and kind of torn on this, I also know from the organization standpoint, you couldn't be trading him at an all-time low, right? There's no value for Jordan Walker across baseball. So I don't think you just say, well, it didn't work out, so we move on from him. No, I think Alex is probably right. I think what you suddenly do for the plan in 2026 is, hey, Jordan Walker's not penciled in as a starting player for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's on the bench. You try and work this and see if he can have the Nolan Gorman treatment, right? Nolan Gorman comes into the year, sits the bench, gets a couple spot starts, see if he can figure it out, work with the hitting coach behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden Nolan Gorman took off, and now he's in your starting 9 every single day. But I don't think you write him in pen. I think the outfield belongs to Burleson, Herrera, Scott, whoever they may decide to bring in if they acquire someone in one of these trades this offseason. But that's where it comes down to. I just don't know if it doesn't click now in the final month and into the offseason, I don't know how you're going to get through to him, because the answer is probably you just don't.
I can't see any reason to trade him. You'll have no value with him. Nobody's going to trade you anything of substance.
You're not going to have value if you don't play him every day. You're never going to have value on him. At least now somebody can say, we can fix that.
Sure, and I get a lottery ticket in return?
What are you going to get if he becomes a bench player and never sees playing time?
But I get the year. This is what I've always disagreed with some people on, with the value of trading.
But then you just let him walk after that year.
Sure.
Wouldn't you rather get a lottery ticket?
No, I would rather figure it out with Jordan Walker.
Right, but at this point, you might be.
Might be. I'm not positive on that. I will ride this thing to the ground.
This is the last ditch. This is it. Now you got your hitting coach and your manager coming out saying, dude, you got to figure it out.
Absolutely. And this offseason, if it doesn't get fixed, then it's probably just not going to work for Jordan Walker here. I need this offseason, though, man. I need to figure it out this offseason. That is 3 to 4 months of them being able to make real, tangible changes with his swing. We saw a change in approach this year from Alec Burleson. A true change in approach. That was not something that took place during the season last year. It was something that was overhauled during the offseason. And I want to see if Brant Brown has 4 months to work with Jordan Walker, where they're down in Florida working on a almost everyday basis. What does that look like? It might be a failure. It might never work out for Jordan Walker, and the truth is this is who he is. He's never going to figure it out because his approach is too bad. He can't figure out the low and away slider, and even when he does lay off of that, he's still not a good enough player to be able to make it work. That is entirely possible, maybe even the most likely outcome here. But I've got to find out. I've got to see this thing through, man. I can't give up on the one player really in our entire system, and I'm including J.J. Weatherholt in this, that has his kind of talent, that has his kind of upside. Because if it works with Walker, the upside is still there to be a 25 home run hitter that hits 270 plus, because there just are not a lot of dudes that are that size with that kind of strength and that kind of bat speed. It's the global theory, right? Like, there's only so many dudes on the globe that look like him and that play like him and that move like him. And if it's not going to work for him, I want to be the one that finds that out. I don't want to send him to another team and they extract some kind of value with him. So that's where I'm at on this. I don't know if the Cardinals agree with that or not, but I'm absolutely not trading Jordan Walker this offseason.
But here's the thing that I have a tough time with is, like, I've been one that has been on that line of thinking, but this isn't a, hey, the team's doing something wrong that we believe, right? We're now saying, like, hey, this feels like it is a perception is shifting towards this is a Walker problem. Well, why would I think if he goes to another team, it suddenly doesn't become a Walker problem? Like, that's where I have a tough time of, like, I think Walker would be who Walker is. And maybe he still is stubborn and says, hey, it's the Cardinals' fault that this broke, not my fault that it broke.
Are you sure of that?
But you'll find out in a month. You're not going to find out in an offseason. You're going to find out in a month.
Why? Because he'll have more time in the offseason to actually implement changes.
He had the whole offseason with Brant Brown this year.
Correct.
And I remember Jordan Walker and Brant Brown saying, hey, like, we're getting back to these things. I remember coming from winter warm-up going, guys, this is so Walker's year. And the answer's been, no, it's not. Walker's probably even further away than he was a year ago.
Absolutely. And I might be wrong on this. I'm wrong about a lot of stuff, but, like, I might be wrong on this. I'd be willing to be wrong on this if I'm the Cardinals. What's the downside? The downside is you're telling me I get a lottery ticket prospect in return. All right, the odds of that working out for me are slim to none. The odds of Jordan Walker walking out for me might be slim to none. But at least I have a real chance with Walker. With that guy that you're telling, whoever it is that I'm getting in return for Walker, like, this is what happened with Seattle with Jarred Kelenic. Now, they were correct. He stunk. He has not proven to be a major league player, and that may end up still being the case for Jordan Walker. But they got nothing in return for Jarred Kelenic. It was basically a salary dump that they included him in. I would just rather find out. I would rather find out for one more year, one more offseason. Can this work with Jordan Walker with me? Worst case scenario, I send him down to AAA next year. Not because I think it's going to work, but because, all right, well, he's not on my 26-man roster clogging up an outfield spot. And maybe something clicks for him down at AAA, whatever. But by the end of the season next year, you can figure it out and either send him elsewhere, DFA him, do whatever you got to do. But I'm giving it one more offseason because time sometimes can fix this stuff. It doesn't always, but it can. And I'm not allowing somebody else to figure that out for me. All right, coming up on the other side, I want to continue this conversation. I've got a bunch of stuff going on over here on my computer that hasn't been working, so I have not been able to read any of these texts or see any of your messages on YouTube. But coming up on the other side, do want to hear from you. How much of this blame for Jordan Walker's failure should be on the organization as opposed to the player? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals took down the Sacramento A's last night 2-1 in the rubber match. Their 3-game set is tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Matthew Liberatore will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. SEMALondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. So how much of the blame for Walker's failures should be on the organization versus the player? We talked about this in the open, about how public perception feels like it is finally shifting on Jordan Walker for better or for worse. Alex, for you, no.
I'm not going to laugh at you because I've already had my screw up. You had your screw up. T-Bone, you're next.
I don't screw up.
For you, how much of this is on the Cardinals? I'm not even talking about today. I'm talking about like Walker. You look at it from the 10,000-foot view because right now, I think it's on Walker. Like he's got to get it figured out. But if we're looking at the 3-year to 5-year sample size of since he's been drafted, that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, I would say it's 50% of the blame pie. I mean, I'm not one to point at one side of this and say it's all your fault because two sides have to be involved in this. And look, the Cardinals did look at a 21-year-old and say, you're ready for the major leagues. Not only are you ready for the major leagues, but you're ready to join a team that's got Paul Goldschmidt, Wilson Contreras, Nolan Arenado, and we want you to be a savior for this team with these guys. I don't think the Cardinals have been very delicate with some of the guys now, specifically J.J. Weatherholt, which is why you're not seeing him. We've seen them rush certain players like Dylan Carlson in the past. I do take some of the blame on the Cardinals' perspective and like, look, there should have been more development with a young kid that came out of high school. There should have been more time to marinate in the minor leagues before you were relied upon in a impact role at the major league level. But again, 50% of this blame pie is also on Jordan Walker because you've not made the adjustments that the Cardinals have deemed necessary for you to maintain at the major league level. You were sent down to the minor leagues in your first year, in your second year, and then this year they said, no, we're not going to. We gave you a rehab assignment, which was essentially a transaction to send you back down to the minors. So I'm not going to say this is one-sided. I think both sides have failed. I think recently, though, this is on Jordan Walker. It's become Jordan Walker at the start of this season, but prior to that, I do think the Cardinals had a role in this.
Yeah, I think there's a percentage of the blame pie that belongs to the Cardinals. Now, how big that blame pie is, I don't know. Like, I would probably put more of it into the Jordan Walker court because I look at him, and yes, I think it is fair to say, hey, he was rushed up to the big leagues because they didn't need an outfielder when they brought him with the team in 2023. I mean, they had Carlson, O'Neill, I can't remember who was out in center field, but Newbar was a part of the equation as well. Like, they had like 4 or 5 outfielders, and I remember we were having the conversation about, get this, a roster crunch for their outfield at the time and the logjam that they were having there. But then, like, he has success when he's up here, and then they send him down, and you know, some people get upset about it. He was on the ground too much. I get it. Comes back up, and he has an 802 OPS after he gets recalled back from the minor leagues. So the Cardinals end up setting him down. He gets it figured out. He's back up here. And he hasn't adjusted to Major League Baseball's adjustment. And it's not like this is the first time the Cardinals have had these conversations. It's the first time it's become public. But this is year 2 in which we're talking about this. And I think some of this stuff, I think it was just destined to come towards Jordan Walker. The slider low and away, I don't think he can lay it off. And I don't know if it's mechanical. I don't know if it's just his batter's eye. He can't lay off of that pitch. And that is the pitch that is sending him into this spiral that we keep seeing from him. So that is a Jordan Walker adjustment. That is not a, hey, the Cardinals aren't telling him what's coming. The Cardinals have told him what's coming. The Cardinals are giving him the scouting reports. Brent Brown is working with him on a daily basis. He's worked with him in the offseason this past year. Jordan Walker's the one that's not taking this information and utilizing it to make himself the best player he can be in the box. So I would say a big chunk of this is on Jordan Walker. I don't think he got rushed. I don't think he got put in a situation in 2023 where it was, hey, be the savior for the Cardinals organization. And he was like the 7th or 8th guy in the pecking order for the Cardinals when he was first brought up in his rookie season.
I do think he was rushed. I would disagree with that. But I think what we saw from Jordan Walker is what we've seen from a lot of guys that have come up for the Cardinals. Like Dylan Carlson, 2020, immediately comes up, cleanup hitter. Congratulations, you're the savior of the season. I think that we have seen this with a lot of different guys. They didn't go sign Freudian slip there. They didn't sign Bryce Harper because why would we sign Bryce Harper when we've got somebody that projects similarly already internally in our system with Tyler O'Neill, right? They continuously do this where they overestimate what their players are and how quickly they will be able to adapt to the major leagues. Now, this is not exclusively unique to the Cardinals. My Kansas City Royals, team that I grew up with, they did this year with Jack Caglione. Remember, he was at AAA, he was crushing the baseball, but he had done it for like 25 games, 15 games, and he was amazing. He had an OPS over 1,000 at the AAA level, and the Royals said, we are desperate for offense. We need somebody to come up here and hit a bunch of homers. He comes up. Have you guys seen what Jack Caglione has done with the Kansas City Royals this year? It's horrific. Terrible. It's embarrassing. He's batting 150 with an OPS of 485. He's been horrible at the major league level. They rushed him. They brought him up too quickly. They didn't allow him to actually see what is happening to him at the AAA level, fail for a little bit down there, learn from those adjustments, and utilize that information to figure out, all right, how do I adjust when I fail at the minor league level? That will influence how I adjust to the major league level. One of my issues with the way that they handled Jordan Walker is that he never failed. Mason Wynn failed at the minor league level. You remember this? We used to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Every time he goes up a level, the level adjusts to him, takes him about a month, maybe 6 weeks. He figures it out, and then he starts to go on a run. For Walker, he never had that experience. He never experienced failures. So think about this, Alex. You, for your entire life, have been better than everybody you've ever gone up against. You've never had to make adjustments. It's just you doing your thing, and at every level, you just keep going up. Throughout all of your youth leagues, you're the best player, you're the most athletic, you continue, just whatever you do, it works. And then you get to the minor leagues in the Cardinal system, your first round pick, you come through, boom, immediately. You hit and hit and hit and hit, and it just keeps on going. And then you get to spring training, you've made this adjustment to the outfield. Now, it's not going particularly well for you defensively, but it's cool because I keep hitting. And you keep hitting during spring, and then you get into the regular season, and you keep hitting during the regular season. You get sent down in part because you stink defensively, and in part because what you're doing, they tell you will not work. And you're like, what do you mean it won't work? I've hit at every level that I've ever been at. Of course it's going to work. So you don't really do the adjustments, but whatever. You go through the song and dance, and you end up having all of the success that rookie year. And then baseball adjusts. And now you stink defensively. And you're not able to figure out what's going on offensively for you. And it's just the year from hell. It's the year from hell. I'll be fine. I'll make these adjustments during the offseason. I'll be good. And then the next year you come back up and it's worse. And I think that's what's happened with Walker is he doesn't know how to adjust. I remember in school, I had to figure out, Alex, whenever I got to college, how to study. I didn't know how to study. I don't know if you had the same experience or not, but you're in high school and you just you go into the test, you're good. Like, I learned what I needed to. I do well on the tests. And then you get to college, you're like, wait, I failed stat. Like, what the hell do I have to do? How do I study? How do I make this work? And I think that's what's happening right now for Jordan Walker is he's having to figure out how to prepare. What do I do when I'm not better than everybody else? So, well, it's a lot going on right now for Walker, and it's all happening at the major league level, which is a really difficult place to have to figure out how to do all of this stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, some of this is probably his stubbornness, too, of trying to figure it out and doing it a certain way that isn't adapting. But going back to what T-Bone said in terms of, that's where, in my opinion, the Cardinals did fail a little bit. You know the best year that Jordan Walker had for the Cardinals was? 2023. You know when the best year Nolan Gorman's year was as a Cardinal? 2023.
Because baseball hadn't adjusted yet.
Well, but also they had 4 guys that were the faces of the franchise. So they had guys that were carrying the load so that Walker and Gorman can learn to be major leaguers. The next year, they didn't have that. They still had Contreras and Goldschmidt and Arenado, but 2 of them were really bad and 1 was injured. Like, that's also where the Cardinals have failed these guys. They've never protected those younger players by giving the guys that are supposed to be changing the team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He still had Goldie. He still had Arenado. He still had Wilson Contreras. Like
a declining Goldie, an injured Arenado, and Contreras was there for like half of the season in 2024.
Yeah, I don't know that I would say like that's why things went south for him. I think baseball adjusted.
Sure, but
I think it's that simple.
Part of the reason is you have that safety net of being the 6th or 7th best hitter on a roster, and you don't have to really focus on the preparation because you're learning the curves. And then the next year when he's 22 years old, it's, you're our 3rd best hitter right now because Goldie's struggling, Arenado's struggling, Contreras is gone.
Yeah, but the year before, like, Arenado was struggling as well. You know, Arenado in 2023, that was the start of the decline. Same thing for Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt in 2023 was not what he was the year prior.
Sure, but the competitive season was still based on those 4 guys and Tyler O'Neill, and views were still on Dylan Carlson, and views were still on Paul DeJong.
I mean, 2023, the team finished 71-91.
No, I'm not saying
the good year.
I'm not saying
Jordan
the team's
Walker.
outcome.
So
I'm
just confused how that would have influenced him
because
going
Jordan
from
Walker
a good
wasn't the
hitter
sole
to a bad
focus.
one.
Walker wasn't the sole focus on that team.
I mean, he was a big one. A really
he
big
became the sole focus
that
by the
season.
end of 23.
But I think the focus on the struggles where this team's underperforming because these big hitters aren't performing. And then you have Jordan.
Yeah, but then it went to, all right, Jordan, you need to pick up some of the slack. If those guys aren't going to perform, then Jordan Walker needs to be the guy that does.
Which is where
I just disagree. I
feel like the organization failed him there. When you're relying on guys to carry the organization.
I know, but you were saying that 2024 things went sideways because he was asked to be more. I think that was already the case in 2023, and he was succeeding.
Oh, see, I don't think he was asked to be more in 2023.
But the team sucked in 23.
Well, that's fine, but again, the blame isn't on Jordan Walker in 2023.
It was in part what I'm saying here is that Walker was already expected to come up and be the savior in 23. He had success. What I think actually changed for him, where he went sideways, was not because of the expectations necessarily, although that played into it. I think it was that baseball adjusted, and Walker never did. Walker didn't have any answers for what baseball had to offer to him. So he gets up in 23. We see this all the time, where guys can have a season where they have success. And then the next year, baseball changes the way that they approach you. They have more information. The book is out on you, and it is on you to be able to figure it out. Corbin Carroll had this, where Corbin Carroll comes up, has an unbelievable season. The Diamondbacks get all the way to the World Series. And then the next year, it took almost 3 months for him to adjust to what baseball was doing to him. Now, he did make that adjustment, and ever since he's been an all-star caliber player again. And the guy is unbelievable. I would love to have Corbin Carroll in this roster. But Carroll made the adjustments that Jordan Walker never did. That doesn't mean that Carroll was asked to be something different in year 1 and then year 2. No. Baseball adjusted. He never adjusted back. To me, that's what changed. That's what led to Jordan Walker being the player that we have seen today. And until he adjusts back to Major League Baseball, this is the player that we're going to continue to see. And my hope, and this is why, to kind of bring this full circle to our conversation, Alex, this is why I would not give up on him this offseason. I would want 3 more months to work with him to find out, can you make that adjustment? The answer very well might be no. I think the bet today, the smart odds are on him not being able to make the adjustment. But I would hope that maybe they're able to find something.
Yeah, I agree with you on that part of the beginning part there. I think Major League Baseball adjusted to Jordan Walker, and I think that once they ended up getting that answer on him, hey, you know what this guy can't do? He can't lay off a slider low and away. Walker's never made that adjustment. Now, where it gets difficult, and this is what I mentioned in the last segment, if it is a batter's eye issue of recognizing that pitch, it is very hard to fix that issue. That is the issue that can just end the baseball career for Jordan Walker and make him not a major leaguer. And I think the odds are, to your point on the odds, are probably in the favor of, hey, he just doesn't make the adjustment. I think the odds are he may not be a major leaguer. And what we're searching here for is answers that may have never just been there for Jordan Walker.
That's fair.
And that's what's so tough about this conversation right now is you just got it wrong with a first-round pick from your St. Louis Cardinals perspective. Because all the stuff that we're talking about, I don't know if there's anything that changes this along the line. Like, I don't think that he was necessarily all that rushed. You know, I know that we disagree on that. But if you operate on the premise of, because I think the Cardinals today, if you ask them, I think they would say they felt like he wasn't rushed. I don't think Ali Marmol would push back on that.
I would disagree with that. I think they would say he was rushed.
I think that they would say, hey, we brought him there for a reason. He had some struggles on the ground, but we sent him down. He made the adjustments, got back up here, and had an 8.02 OPS. he ended up being a really good player. Where the issues really went awry is once baseball finally had the book on him. And to your point, that's where just a bunch of guys have it, and some guys are just one-hit wonders. Look at Mark Vientos of the Mets, right? He just now is figuring it out. He was well below league average, and he's now 5% above league average. So he's starting to figure it out. Some guys need time to figure it out, but it's typically not 2 full years to figure it out. And that's where it gets tough to find out what's wrong with Jordan Walker.
All right, we've given you our thoughts. We've done a lot of that. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Do want to hear from you. We'll get to those coming up on the other side. Questions and answers via the text line, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. And the Scott Lee Heating mic drop feature as well. We'll hear from you in the audience next here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to tell you about my friends out at Classic Air Care, the company that's been taking care of the Ferrario household HVAC system since 2016. They've been working on my family's unit. My dad has been using them for the last 30 years, and it's because of the technicians and it's because of the incredible customer service that they provide. But you hear me talk about it all the time. Check out some of their reviews. They've got thousands of them on Google+, 5-star reviews of their great customer service, like this story from Ebony. Great customer service. I called for an emergency with my HVAC system after hours in the middle of the heat of the summer. A mishap happened with my system. Manager Joe called me immediately the next morning, discounted my service, and had Jack out within an hour, diagnosed and fixed in the same day, which is also a great reminder to use Classic Air Care for what they're calling their super tune-up, where you get both your AC and furnace maintenance taken care of for $149 in the month of September. Now is the time to have maintenance on both of those units so it can get you through the upcoming winter and get you through the next summer. So give them a call today or schedule online. Check out that super tune-up. Just do me a favor and tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. That's Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Also, the mic drop features on the 101 ESPN app. Let's get into questions and answers. We begin with Nick's mic drop.
I think the Cardinals definitely have some blame with Jordan Walker and his current failures because they brought him up so early. And then when he showed that he wasn't ready, they should have sent him down and kept him down there until he was consistently having like above an 800 or 900 OPS down at AAA, and then bring him up, show that he was polished and ready to go and refined. I think it's because they started the clock on him, so now they feel forced to try and bring and keep him up at the major league level, even though they're giving him days off to work on his swing, which is exactly what AAA is supposed to be for.
I think that's a really interesting perspective on it, too. Is once you brought him up to the major league club, you start the clock, A, and B, you start the expectations among fans. And I think maybe the tail is wagging the dog a little bit here.
The expectations for him were already stated the moment he was drafted.
Yeah. And he had all of those exit velocity numbers at the AA level. Like, we had heard a lot about Jordan Walker. They were very excited about him.
Wasn't he the one that they said nobody's done what he's done in the minor league since Albert Pujols?
Yep.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you just got to stop making statements about young players. At some point, you just have to look at your prospects and be like, look, we're optimistic about it. Right now, he's growing.
Next time they're asked about whether worst prospect we've had in our system in a real long time.
I'm not saying that. It's just like when you listen to Doug Armstrong, like they don't provide much on the. I mean, we had Tim Taylor on right before the draft, and it's like we asked him for almost every single player, and it was kind of a textbook answer on those guys.
To be fair, the Blues have fallen for it too. Like baby Parayko as Logan Mailloux. Like that's correct. Some big expectations put on him.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Thomas, superstar in the making. Yeah. He's going to take over for Ryan O'Reilly.
Parayko, the alpha dog, ready for Petrangelo's role, which took a couple years.
I mean, they got there, though.
Yeah, that's the difference. They have gotten there compared to the
Cardinals. And when they were in the minors, though, like Robert Thomas that first year as a rookie was like, look, this guy, he's raw.
Yeah. They got there. I would say there were times early on in their career where it put unfair expectations on the players, but we don't have to get back into that conversation once again. Let's get to David, mic drop feature on the 101 ESPN app.
Hey, guys, let's face it. They're calling him out. They're calling Walker out. They're basically saying he is not doing the prep work necessary to be successful. He isn't willing to adjust. They're putting the square on his shoulders. It's time. Most guys don't get 2 full years to figure it out. And I don't care if he's not playing every single day or not. He still had plenty of at-bats. By now, you should see the progress. And I think the Cardinals are basically saying, put up or shut up. And I think that's great that they're doing this. They've got to figure out where this team is headed. If Walker's going to be a part of that, he has to start making progress, and he has to be the one to do it.
I do think they're calling him out, but I think it's done so in a subtle way that is necessary. I think this is my read on the situation, at least. I think what is happening here, Alex, is they're speaking to Jordan Walker through the media because they don't know what more can be done. I think they've had all of these conversations with him now for 3 years. They've had multiple different hitting coaches that have done it with him. They've tried sending him down to the minors. They basically just did an option without actually being an option. They put him down via the rehab assignment for multiple weeks at the AA level. They had him work with their hand-picked hitting coach down there. Like, they've tried everything with Jordan Walker. And now it is, all right, maybe this will put public pressure on you. Maybe that's what's going to work for Jordan Walker. They're trying everything they can. This is their one last opportunity during the season, and they've got less than a month to be able to go runway-wise for the rest of this regular season. So, yeah, see if this ends up pressuring him into doing something, and hopefully it works.
Yeah, I mean, I said it at the open. Like, this to me is the last-ditch effort to try and get it to work for Jordan Walker. We've tried talking with him. We've tried working with him. We've sent him down to the minors. There's not much else we can do other than explain why he's struggling through the media and have him read it, because as a young athlete, you're paying attention to all of this stuff that is said about you, and now you see it, and he's like, man, like I made the reference in the office. That's what changed Jordan Kyrou. I mean, Kyrou, the moment that Berube thing happened, the comment that he made and how media people took it and how he was booed at the game, the moment that happened, it's like Jordan Kyrou shifted to a different player. Sometimes you got to hit rock bottom, and this, I mean, is rock bottom if you're Jordan Walker.
It should be.
I mean, there's nothing else that could happen.
Unless you get traded. That could be rock bottom. We're the team that invested everything in you. They invested millions of dollars. They invested 3 years of their time at the major league level, 5 years of their time overall. They invested everything in you, said, you're not worth our time anymore.
Yeah.
Because he costs nothing. It's not like he's an expensive player, and so it's a salary situation the way that it was with Kyle Schwarber in Chicago. This is a nothing burger contract. And if they were to trade him in the offseason for very little return, that would be truly rock bottom for Jordan Walker.
Yeah. At that point, though, I got to imagine, like, if I'm putting myself in Jordan Walker's shoes, I'm looking at this as it was inevitable that I was going to get moved from this team because they were done with me.
Maybe.
If you're in that mindset.
Some of his own doing, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And that's where it will be. Like, if he does get traded, that's when it comes down to, okay, is Jordan Walker to make the change? Because if not, he's just not going to work out in Major League Baseball.
And sometimes you play the blame game where it's like, well, that's not on me, that's on them. And you're always in that mindset.
And some players do need that. Like, I go back to Perron got traded from the Blues and went to, was it Edmonton or Pittsburgh first?
It was it was Edmonton because he was traded for Yakupov, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. And that was the moment that kind of it clicked for David Perron. Oh, okay. Yeah, I do need to do some of the things the Blues are talking to me. And Perron's had a hell of a career ever since then. Now, that's not to say it wouldn't have ever worked out here in St. Louis. And some players don't need that.
Sometimes it doesn't, though.
But sometimes it is the moment that is surprising when it is, oh, wow, I thought this organization really believed in me. And they basically just kicked me to the curb for nothing. Okay, yeah, I do need to start making some adjustments. But if you're the Cardinals, you've got to go through every possible scenario before you get to that spot because of the talent that we've been talking about.
Yeah, and what you said there, that's why I continue to stick with it this offseason. I don't love it. It sucks that they're in this position. I would much rather have seen more progress from Jordan Walker this year. Then it makes it easy. Then you go into the offseason, you have a plan for him, and you go into the regular season. But given where they're at, the question is fair of whether or not they should consider trading him this offseason. I also wonder if you're in Walker's shoes, to your point, Alex, would you want to trade? Would you be in a situation where you're like, you know what, I think a fresh start would actually be good for me? I don't know that it
depends on the mindset
off,
he's in.
But it's possible that he's looking at this as well and saying, hey, man, we've tried everything we can. Your voices aren't working for me. My response to your voice clearly isn't working for you. Maybe we go our separate ways. And if I'm the Cardinals, I say, nope.
Yeah.
You have no say in the matter. You get to be here for one more year, and hopefully it works out for both of us. And if you hit, then we can make the decision on whether or not your long-term future will be here in St. Louis. But for now, buddy, you're going to be a St. Louis Cardinal, and you don't get to suggest otherwise. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll play a game of More Likely to Happen. You guys give us two scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely. David Perron, by the way, traded to Edmonton in 2013 for Magnus Payarvi and a 2014 second-round draft
I knew it was a European former first-round pick.
Magnus
they had Payarvi and Yakupov.
Yeah.
We lost that.
Who did they trade for Yakupov? Why am I...
Didn't they trade a draft pick for Yakupov? Am I wrong on that?
A draft pick and a prospect. Dude that they drafted in the fourth round that was in their minor league system.
All right, coming up in 15 minutes, it's more likely to happen, but next.
No, they didn't.
Is Ivan Herrera actually the Cardinals' best chance from the major league roster to become the bat that they lack? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. Coming up in 30 minutes, I'll share with you what I just shared with Alex and T-Bone. I think it's a bad idea.
Not a bad idea, just dumb idea.
Okay. Bad, dumb.
Nope, bad and dumb are two different things.
Touche. All right, fair enough. What might be a dumb idea is for the Cardinals to believe that Ivan Herrera can be a legit building block for this roster. To Alex, is he the best chance on the Major League roster to become the bat that they lack? And by that, I mean somebody that can legitimately hit 270 or above with a regular basis, get on base at a decent clip, hit 25-plus home runs, drive in, 90-plus ribbies. The guy that you look at and is feared by the opposition. I don't know that the Cardinals necessarily have that bat on the roster right now. Is Ivan Herrera their best chance to get that?
On this roster, yes. I think Weatherholt possibly, but I don't know. On this roster, I think it's only Ivan Herrera. Earlier in the season, I think I could have heard the argument for Alec Burleson, but because it's only one type of pitcher and because he's had his ups and downs, I don't know if he's the 25-plus home run guy that you fear. Herrera, in the early portion of the season, prior to him being injured, he was feared. Like, you couldn't get him out, it felt like. You were talking about a guy who was going to go 500 almost every single game. So, yeah, I think the profile of Ivan Herrera, but even to him, I still think it's an unknown because I haven't seen him do it for 162 games. Now, this one's explainable, the injury, and I still think he's injured, and you're starting to see him come back to where he was prior to the injury. But other than Herrera and maybe Burleson, I don't think there's anybody else on this roster that's feared the way you're talking about other teams' fear but hitters.
Yeah, I think it would be Herrera for me. And Burley's close. I just think the one thing for Burley is he doesn't draw, and I'll get to my point here for a second, but he doesn't draw walks, which means he's not laying off a bunch of pitches out of the zone, forcing you into his zones. He's doing a good job of being selective in his spots and taking advantage of that opportunity. But when you get a guy that can get on base at the clip that Ivan Herrera is, he's forcing you into the zone. It's always the thing that we would talk about with Newpar, right? You think you would expect a little bit more pop from him because he should be bringing guys back into the zone because he was walking so much, and it just wasn't there. That's why I would say, yeah, it probably is Ivan Herrera. And I mean, his bat-to-ball skills are off the charts. He's able to just hit about everything that you throw at him, and I think he's going to grow into more power. I mean, he is really well put together to where I think he can, as he gets older and starts to understand the big leagues a little bit more, he's going to be able to get a little bit more loft in that swing and be able to lift the ball just a little bit better. I think he's the one hope that you have of the Cardinals, but like if you ask me to put like a percentage chance on that, it's like 10% is what I would put it at. It's not very high. I think he ends up settling in as like that really good number 5 hitter that any contending team would want.
This is where he tries to sell some Lars Newpar.
I know.
Guys, let me tell you about Lars Newpar.
Oh,
I think he's your best chance. I think he's your best chance.
I'm going to say Walker.
I don't know if he can actually be that hitter. The more that we've watched of Ivan Herrera this season, and maybe it is just the injuries, Alex. Maybe it is the leg issues, and that has sapped some of the power. But maybe he's just an 800 OPS guy, which is a really good hitter, the likes of which the Cardinals really haven't developed much through their minor league system. So it's kind of astounding that he's the guy that ended up figuring it out to that degree. But I don't know that an 800 OPS hitter is enough to be that fearsome batter in the middle of your order. For most of these other teams across the National League that are really contending, that would be the third best hitter in their lineup. And I think Ivan Herrera could be that. Just like I think Wilson Contreras was best served as a third to fourth best hitter in a lineup. Wilson Contreras is a really good piece to have, man. That guy can hit. He's still raking this season. But is he the best player in a lineup? No, I don't see that. I don't think he should ever be expected to be that. I think it's a bit unfair for him. But he's a really good supplementary piece. He's a good complementary piece to others. I think Ivan Herrera could be something similar to what Wilson Contreras has been for the Cardinals. And then I expand this conversation a bit. So I was watching the Cardinals game versus the A's on Monday. I was there with the little man, and I was thinking to myself, man, at the time, Kurtz wasn't even in the lineup for the A's, but they've got some really good young hitters. Like, you look up and down that A's lineup, boy, do they have some fearsome dudes. I mean, you look at it, whether it's Kurtz, who has an OPS over 1,000 this season. Jacob Wilson, who's been a really good shortstop this year. Brent Rooker is not necessarily young, but he hits the crap out of the baseball. Shane Langoliers has had a very good season this year as a catcher for them. It's like 4 dudes that I just mentioned that are legit feared pieces of their lineup, all of whom I think you would take over any individual hitter for the Cardinals right now. All 4 of them. And it kind of took my breath away for a second because I'm thinking this is the A's that I'm talking about right now that have a better building block, multiple of them, than the Cardinals for their lineup. Got me to thinking, Alex, how many teams have no building block like the Cardinals, where you can't necessarily identify any one individual player in their lineup that scares you? How many other teams beyond the St. Louis Cardinals are built that way right now, in your opinion?
Colorado.
Agreed.
White Sox.
Agreed.
That's where it gets tough.
I'm going to throw one out here just because I don't think he's a building block at where they're going. The Twins. I don't think the Twins have a guy anymore.
They've got
Buxton.
fears you.
They've got Buxton, but like he's not a part of their future.
Sure, but you fear him. When I play against them, he has a 900 OPS. T-Bone, if you're going to include Christian Yelich as a superstar, and you don't say that you fear Byron Buxton, I don't know what we're doing.
My point was more of
here.
like thinking long, like in their build.
Either way,
to me, he doesn't fit into their build, but he's there. So
that's fine. You fear him in the middle of their order.
I was gonna say the Rays, but they got Caminero, so I don't think that applies anymore.
He's hit 40 home runs. It's fraudulent. It's a
prior
Mickey
to him,
Mouse clubhouse
kind of
style ballpark, but whatever.
I think it's probably those 2.
Angels? I mean, I know they got Trout, but Trout's not really relevant anymore, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I think you could throw the Angels into this category.
Marlins. I think the Marlins do, and I know Stowers is the guy, but I think I'm not sold on like Stowers is it until I see it in back-to-back years. The same way that I am Herrera. Like, I'm not sold yet until I see it in back-to-back years.
I think that's fair. I would have Stowers in that category, but if you're hesitant on doing so, I think we've learned our lesson here.
I think that's it.
Touched fire one too many times.
It's like 3 to 4.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, boy.
That's a good group to be in, though, right? Like, top 5 pick, boys.
Well, you know what? I said this at some point, I think last week. Those teams like came out publicly and said, "Hey, rebuild, tear it down to the studs,
tear down."
The Cardinals like have gotten here, and they've gotten here by accident.
Yeah, because they're delusional and they think they're still able to compete for the last 3 years.
Dude, what does that mean?
Well, it's not
Stop living in La La Land.
It's not delusional that they think they can compete. I mean, they just got it wrong completely. Like, think of the whole core that they had. Like, we went through this when the Yankees were in town. They had 4, I think there's 4 or 5 guys on this roster that were all top 100 prospects. And, like, you've really only had one that's panned out in Alec Burleson. Gorman's starting to figure it out. Mason Wynn's been solid in terms of his defense, but he's below average offensively at the plate here this year. They haven't had anybody that's been a former top 100 prospect really take that step like you were expecting, that I think they were expecting. And their biggest hope on it was Jordan Walker. And Walker, we've been talking about for the first hour of our show, not being able to make adjustments.
Pittsburgh,
Somebody said
Colorado.
Pittsburgh. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got a pitcher that you would fear. They do not have anybody in their lineup that you would fear, though. I think that's a fair one. If you want to include the Marlins on this, I think that's understandable. The Angels and the White Sox. And I think that's the end of the list. Those 5 teams and the Cardinals are the only teams that do not currently have somebody in their lineup that you would legitimately fear. Now, if you made the same list and said, all right, of those teams, how many of them also do not have a pitcher that you would fear? It's like 3.
White Sox, Rockies,
And Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Because the Pirates have that guy. The Marlins have that dude. When Sandy Alcantara is right, he is that guy, and he seems to be getting right now.
Minnesota has that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Cardinals are one of 3, and the other 2 are legitimately tanking. So much so that I believe both of them are ineligible for the draft lottery this year.
Well,
which we thought was the case for the Cardinals, but it does not.
And in all fairness, Pittsburgh's going to trade away the guy that everybody fears at some point, so they should be on this list.
In 15 minutes, Jordan Kyrou is on an exclusive list for the start of his career. We'll tell you about that coming up in 15 minutes. Try to convince you that Jordan Kyrou is actually good at hockey. Coming up next, more likely to happen here on 101 ESPN.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. You guys give us two scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely. Real quickly, I wanted to look this up because I was curious. Players under the age of 23 that have accumulated a worse wins above replacement than Jordan Walker. He is negative 2.3 thus far in his career. Worst wins above replacement in their prior to age 23. There are none in the last 25 years of Major League Baseball. Not what you want. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. All right, boys, more likely to be on the Cardinals roster on opening day of 2026. Jordan Walker or Lars Nootbaar?
Jordan Walker. This is the game that BK wants us to say what he believes. Jordan Walker's more likely. I think Lars Nootbaar's as good as gone.
Same.
Yeah,
if we're saying Walker's on this depth chart, Nootbaar's lower than Walker.
Yeah, I don't want to really play BK's game, but I would say Walker. Yeah. Now, I think there's something to be said of the Cardinals continuing to play the worst player in WAR in the last 20 years, 23 or younger. But, I mean, they're in a rebuild. What does it harm? Nootbaar they can get value for. I've said this before. I think they can look for the Jonathan India, Brady Singer trade this offseason with Lars Nootbaar. So I would say it is more likely Walker is on the roster.
Feel good about yourself?
Yeah. What do you got for us?
So tell us again what you were telling us in the break about Jose Bautista and Jordan Walker.
Okay, so if you wanted, this is another one that I looked up. If you're looking for players that have done poorly in their first 3 years of their career, instead of taking into account average or age, first 3 seasons of their major league career, other guys that have had a similar wins above replacement or worse to Jordan Walker, again, negative 2.3. That's not what you want. That means you're 2 wins worse than an average player.
So you're not great at defense or offense.
Yeah. Lewis Brinson has won recently. Yoshi Tsugo is another. And then Jose Bautista in 2004 to 2006 would be a third.
That plays into my more likely to happen. More likely to happen. Jordan Walker has a career like Jose Bautista or Gregory Polanco.
Yeah. I mean,
Polanco.
Yeah.
And at least Polanco played defense.
So wouldn't you like to just cut ties if you think that's going to happen right now rather than...
I liked Gregory Polanco.
Oh, I did too at the time when he was hyped up, and then now he's played the last 4 seasons or 3 seasons over in Japan.
Yeah.
And
he had a really good year in 2018.
Yeah. What was that, like over 1,000 OPS or something like that?
800, but
never. I was looking at his AAA stats with Toronto.
But he had a really good season. And the other guy that people have brought up recently is Joe Adell. Another guy that, if that's the best case scenario for Jordan Walker, it's a disaster. Joe Adell this year is a league average hitter. So if you're not going to have plus defense and league average offense, that's a really just if you're telling me Walker's going to figure it out, he's going to become Joe Adell, trade him. What I'm saying is I think if he figures it out, I think it will be better than what you're seeing this year out of Joe Adell. I don't know how likely that is, but that's my personal perspective on the matter. Somebody from the 910 said WAR is such a dumb stat. All right, that's fine. It is a way for me to be able to look up Walker's value versus others' value. If you hate the stat, that's totally cool. But that is why I used it. T-Bone, what do you got?
I prefer plus minus in hockey.
The eye test told you he's one of the worst players you've seen in the last 20 years.
No doubt about it. And then I was able to back that up with something that numerically will agree with your eye test.
Guys, more likely to be on the Cardinals opening day roster in 2026.
We just did this, man.
Quinn Matthews or J.J. Weatherholt?
J.J. Weatherholt.
Quinn Matthews. Fewer options.
Don't worry. They're going to bring back Mikolas and then bring a couple of guys over in trades.
I was thinking Quinn Matthews as well. And it wasn't so much fewer options was part of playing into this. I also think they're going to do the whole, they'll say not ready, we're not going to rush him thing. Like let's
1,500 OPS at the end of the season.
Let's all agree right away, unless he's like awful in spring training, that's the case. But let's all agree right away. It's called roster manipulation. It's getting that Super 2 status.
Don't they get a better draft pick, though, if he gets Rookie of the Year?
They could, but if you're them, why not get like 4 more years of control?
Also, he can still win Rookie of the Year if you wait 6 weeks.
Yeah. So I that's why I would say
the answer is neither.
Probably. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from Jamie's Vacation Speedo. Alex, more likely to happen. Shin or Snuggerud scored 20 goals this year.
Shin.
Which one is more likely to score 20 goals this year? Shin or Snuggie?
Shin. I'm going to go consistency.
Oh, interesting.
Shin scores it every single year.
I was going to say, has he not scored?
I think he's been 20 every year.
I feel like a couple of years ago he did not. Am I wrong on that?
I thought he did at like the last second.
Yeah, this past season he did not score 20 goals.
Oh, wow.
That's the first time.
I will
change my answer then.
I'll say Snuggerud. I mean, the shots there. Braden Shen doesn't have the shot, has to be more of the power forward when you think of that. So
it's also about opportunity,
yeah.
Right? Like, it's like RBIs. I think that Jimmy Snuggerud will be in position to score more goals this year. I think there's a chance that Braden Chen is your third-line center and is not on the top power play unit. So if that ends up being the case, Jimmy Snuggerud's going to be a top-line player for you most likely and is on the top power play unit.
Yeah.
I'm going to defend my boy Shen, though, for the 18 instead of 20. In his defense, he did play left wing with Pavel Buchnevich as his center for the first 18 games of the season.
Yeah, and then for the next 60, he played on one of the most productive lines
and was
in the
awesome
NHL.
for it.
He was very good.
But played on that line all season, that's 20-goal score.
Yeah, but I'm not sure he's going to be on that line all season.
I'm fairly certain he will.
Okay.
By the way, RBI, that's a real stat. That's what we should use.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. That was not to be demeaning, by the way, to Braden Chen. I think Braden Chen can have a really good season.
There's one guy I know you hate on this team. It's Shen. You're going to try and trade him.
He's one of my favorite players.
I
would
have traded at the deadline.
From the 636, Luther Burden finishes ahead of Travis Hunter for Offensive Rookie of the Year, or Hunter wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. So Luther Burden wins Offensive Rookie of the Year, or Hunter wins Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I'll go Hunter wins Defense Rookie of the Year.
Burden for me. Not because I think it's likely, but I don't see any scenario where a corner wins Defensive Rookie of the Year this year, even though Travis Hunter will have a ton of hype. I'm also not sure how much playing time he's going to get on that side of the ball.
Yeah. I would still say Hunter for Rookie of the Year. Just because I don't know how much volume you're going to see from Burden in that Chicago offense. So, I mean, they've got two other great pass catchers along with Cole Kmet, who's a solid tight end. I will say Hunter, even though I would say both are probably unlikely to happen.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service X line for more likely to happen. You guys give us a scenario. We'll tell you which one is more likely. More likely to happen. Kevin Coleman leads the SEC in receiving yards, or Ahmad Hardy leads the SEC in rushing yards. It's Mizzou's new receiver and Mizzou's new running back. I will go Ahmad Hardy leads the SEC in rushing yards. I think Coleman is going to be much more about catches than yards. He is a slot receiver. He goes across the middle. So I think he's going to put up a ton of receptions. I'm not sure where the yardage total is going to get him, though. I think Hardy has a real chance to be top 5 in the SEC in rushing.
Yeah, I agree. They're run-first offense, and I think that's where it's going to be. Hardy's going to get it.
Yeah, I sweep it. I would say Hardy as well. You mentioned it, run-first offense, and he looked awesome in their first game. He looks like he's going to be another stud running back to come through Mizzou.
More likely to happen, the Cardinals win at least 10 games this season, or they get swept in a series. Cardinals win 10 more games this season, or they get swept in a series. I mean, it's more likely they get swept in a series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. More likely, Walker goes into 2026 as the starting right fielder, or Gorman is your starting third baseman. Gorman.
Walker. They're not getting rid of Arenado.
I think this one's really tough. I think I would lean Walker, too. I don't think they're going to eat the money that it's required to move on from Arenado. Which really complicates
they're not making him a bench player either. He's playing third base. I think it's more. If you would have said Gorman at second base, I'd have taken that every day of the week. But I'm going to go Walker right field.
From the 636, guys, I'm heading to the gas station. Need anything?
Take a bag of combos.
Oh, God.
Really? I love combos.
Oh, no.
Oh, really?
Don't bring those by.
Yeah.
Please
Code
don't
red.
bring those into
Dude,
this
Code
room.
Red, too. Always down for a good Code Red.
Your ass must stink, dude.
My ass must stink?
Oh, my God.
I mean, doesn't everyone's?
A Code Red and combos?
It's a good road trip snack.
Oh, man.
Only the cheese one, or the cheddar ones, not the
Dude,
pizza
how
ones.
terrible do you feel when you arrive at your destination?
I'm surprised you.
I always feel terrible. No, that's not what does it to me. It's the other stuff that does it to me. I'll do a good combo.
There's like radioactive stuff in those.
It's radioactive stuff in everything you eat these days.
Oh, well, they're trying to get rid of that. Sorry.
I don't shop at Fresh Time, though, so.
Yeah, BK would like.
I like that place.
I know you do.
Trader Joe's is a good spot,
I can't
too.
afford Fresh Time.
BK's the guy that brings, like, kale on the trip, you know?
No, celery sticks.
Without peanut butter? Ugh.
We sent snacks today, the snap pea, fried snap pea things. Luca
what?
loves them.
Those are good.
They're like the fried snap pea.
They're like veggie straws, but they're snap peas. Those are good.
Never heard of them.
He really likes them.
I can't make
we
fun
sent
of
the
them,
snacks today to daycare, and that's what the kids got.
I make air fried zucchini rings now for the girls. Oh my God, they love it.
Somebody on the text line said that is a total Jeffco order.
Yeah.
Take the boy out of Jeffco. You can't take the Jeffco out of the boy.
Sure. Whatever you say.
Give me some, like, beef jerky.
Oh, God. Buffalo blue cheese combos?
That's disgusting. I said one brand of combos, and that was it. I didn't say mystery meat. I said you give me the cheddar combos. That's it. The Code Red's a staple. I live off Code Red.
Somebody said on the text line, A, thought he was about to say condoms, not combos. And B,
That's a weird thing to ask for.
I work in the food industry. The push to remove chemicals and dyes is real. Hey, man.
Okay,
All
Alex, you wanna
right,
talk
coming
about
up
it?
next. I
Kyrou.
think we're
Would you
into the
rather talk
Blues.
about this or your theology pod that we started earlier?
I screwed that one up, so
I didn't want to be in the room for either.
I think we're talking Blues next, right?
Somebody else said, BK, don't forget your pick'em picks are not set. Don't lose those points. Good point. I will get that done ASAP. I need to get my picks in for this week. I am. Are you guys doing Alex, you're doing the Survivor pool with me, right?
Yeah, my dad and I are both doing one.
Fantastic. So I sent this out.
Who'd you pick for your first team?
You want me to tell you?
You want me to tell you mine?
Denver.
Dude, that's the one I picked.
Yeah, they're a pretty clear
losing.
one this week.
I tried to convince my dad to take the Saints because their best chance to win a game
Take the Saints?
No. Yeah, I said their best chance to win a game this year is going to be week
Do you
one.
want to lose in week one?
Well, I mean, it's a winnable game. They're home. It's the healthiest they've been.
You shouldn't touch the Saints all year.
Well, you got to at some point.
My
you
two
don't.
rules. Yeah, you don't have to.
I was just
I thought
there's
you
only
had to pick.
17
I thought you had to
weeks.
pick every team,
You have to pick every week. There are 17 weeks.
but a new team, right?
yeah.
so I guess
have
you
to
can
pick
avoid
at
them.
I guess technically 18 weeks.
you can basically avoid half the league.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good because I thought you had to do all of them, and I'm
It's
like,
all those
oh, Dad,
combos you're eating. It's just not.
screwed up.
This is why they're trying to get rid of the dies.
Oh boy. Oh.
Oh, jeez.
Coming up next, Jordan Kyrou is on a very exclusive list for the start of his career. Is it going to convince you that he's actually good at hockey? We'll try next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here to tell you about my friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, which is coming soon here to the Show Me State, and you can sign up today. New Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets when DraftKings Sportsbook launches on December 1st, so download now and place a $5 bet when they go live. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you'll need to elevate your game day experience, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when DraftKings Sportsbook goes officially live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions, safe, secure, and has the fastest money withdrawals. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use my code Tanner to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. That's code Tanner in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals took down the A's yesterday 2-1, and the rubber match of their 3-game set is tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Matthew Liberatore will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See him at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
With Alex and T-Bone on BK. So I was thinking about this, Alex, because yesterday, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Matthew DeFranks had a really good piece on Jordan Kyrou's quest to get to 40. 40 goals this season is the goal for Jordan Kyrou. Thought to myself, man, he's been a really consistent player over the last 3 years, at least production-wise. 30 or more goals, 65 or more points each of those 3 seasons. Now, we were just talking yesterday about how impressive Dylan Holloway's season was last year, and he did that once. Kyrou's done that each of the last 3 years. So he's done that 3 consecutive seasons, age 26 or younger.
Minus the hits, though, right? Dylan Holloway had the hits.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just making sure we have all the criteria in front of us before you try and talk to the Blues fans here.
Fair point. I do appreciate you making that clear for everybody.
Took shots at my combos. I'm going to take shots at you.
The list of players age 26 or younger that have done what Kyrou did. 3 consecutive years of 30-plus goals, 65 or more points. It was a long list, so I narrowed it down to exclusively wingers that have accomplished this. It was a much shorter list, Alex. The players that have done this in the last decade include Jordan Kyrou, Clayton Keller, Kirill Kaprizov, Brady Tkachuk, man, this guy's on every list, David Pastrnak, Mikko Rantanen, Nikita Kucherov, that guy's amazing, and Vladimir Tarasenko. The symmetry of Jordan Kyrou being the first player on the list and Vladimir Tarasenko being the last guy on the list.
Difference, though, is that Vladdy's early part of the career, everybody loved him, and early part of Kyrou's career, everybody's like, this guy.
Alex, I also find it interesting that Tarasenko got to that place midway through where Kyrou currently is, even though he started in a better place. Maybe speaks to the style of player that we're talking about here. That's 8 players, Alex, in the last decade, basically 1 a year on average, that does what we're talking about here. 30-plus goals, 65 or more points in a 3 consecutive season stretch, 26 or younger. What does that list tell you about the company that Jordan Kyrou has been keeping early on in his career?
That Jordan Kyrou is consistent. Jordan Kyrou is going to put up the numbers. And I don't believe, there might be some that deny that, but the proof is in the pudding. I don't know if anybody should deny that. Like, every year he is going to provide you 30-plus goals, 70-plus points, and he's going to do that for you no matter where he plays in the lineup. He's going to go through his highs, he's going to go through his lows, but write it down, you know what you're getting. The problem isn't Jordan Kyrou's points, at least speaking from some Blues fans' perspective. The problem is the style that he plays. And he has shifted that. This past year, he played a new style. When I was listening to that Dylan Holloway interview with Cam and Strick, Holloway kind of chuckled. He's like, man, I don't get what the narrative is with Kyrou in St. Louis. He's like, the guy's an incredible player. He's absolutely correct. It's just people have an opinion of Jordan Kyrou of his first few years in the National Hockey League, and it's hard to get away from that. Now, if you go back through that list of all of those wingers, every one of those players has something in common that Jordan Kyrou has yet to achieve. They've either scored 40 goals or they have surpassed 90-plus points. And Jordan Kyrou, in my opinion, won't get out of this narrative that Blues fans have on him until he scores 40 goals, which I believe hasn't been done since Vladimir Tarasenko for the Blues, or surpasses 90 points, which also hasn't been done, I think, since Pavel Demitra. Like, he's got to get to uncharted territory for Blues fans to look at him with a different view than what they have in the past.
Brady has done neither of those two things, but
Brady also fights.
Yeah, Brady has.
He's got an element to his game
to the table,
and he's a captain.
Yeah, and like I said, Brady brings a bunch of other stuff. He brings value in other places. I find it interesting because, man, as you look at some of these other players that we're discussing here, many of them reached the 40-goal plateau in one of these seasons that I already had mentioned. That is one thing that I just cannot say about Jordan Kyrou. He hasn't reached that plateau. I would also say, man, you look at some of these players that we're talking about here, they're paid a lot more handsomely than what Jordan Kyrou is being paid right now. Jordan Kyrou at his current contract, starting this year and certainly over the next few years, will be one of the biggest bargains in the NHL.
Especially if he hits 40 goals.
Even if he doesn't. Even if this is just what he's going to be, and he becomes Clayton Keller light. Because Clayton Keller is a guy that consistently is in this range that we're talking about. He has never reached 40 goals, but he has been a guy that has produced 80-plus points in this past year, got to the 90-point threshold. So he's probably the closest comparison point that we have of any of these players that I just referenced. If he becomes 90% of what Clayton Keller is, he's consistent 70 points, 30 to 35 goals. Dude, at $8 million, that is a bargain for what you are paying for him. That kind of a player is getting $10+ million on the open market. So I think the Blues are already in a very good position with Jordan Kyrou. I understand why we had all of the talk about him this offseason. It was understandable, but the Blues made their decision. And Kyrou is now almost certainly going to be here for the next 6 years of his career. He gets to choose if that's not the case. Like, the Blues don't get to be the ones that decide that anymore. I'm happy he's here. I think that he is going to be a huge part of what the Blues are going to try to accomplish over the next 3 to 5 years at a minimum.
Yeah, I mean, if you take away the 86 points and the 90 points for Clayton Keller, I think there would be a lot of people that were frustrated with Clayton Keller. I remember specifically 2 years ago, Blues fans were saying a 1-for-1 trade of Kyrou for Clayton Keller because they wanted Clayton Keller because he put up 86 points. The Blues are lucky to have Kyrou at the numbers he's at because you're projecting what his career is going to look like. And if he becomes an 85-plus point producer or a 40-goal scorer, you're absolutely right. He's one of the biggest steals in the National Hockey League for what he's making. I think the problem for a lot of Blues fans, not me, problem for a lot of Blues fans is just the style that he plays. But what I'll be interested to see this season is he and Holloway together because sometimes a player's style brings the best out of a guy that doesn't play that way. Like Tarasenko was that way in that cup run. He wasn't a physical guy, became a physical guy just because of where the Blues are at and the style that they played. I'll be curious to see what Kyrou looks like with a Dylan Holloway on his line because you're talking about speed, and Holloway plays with some piss and vinegar, which might bring that out of Jordan Kyrou, which is the biggest bugaboo that people complain about.
What if he doesn't? Like, what if that's never going to be there for him?
Then I think
it's probably not.
Then unless he's a 40-goal scorer or a 90-point producer, I think people are always going to be frustrated with Kyrou.
Or he wins. I think we're leaving off that third example here because you can be a 40-goal scorer. You can completely alter your style of play, which I think is by far the least likely scenario here. Or option 3, your team wins. It does winning in the postseason. That's really what we're talking about here because Vladimir Tarasenko's team has done a lot of winning in the regular season, had not done the winning in the postseason, and that's when people started to turn. They said, well, this guy can't win in the playoffs. I don't know if he's ever going to be able to get over the hump here in St. Louis. Let's not pretend as if that conversation didn't take place. I remember it. I was here for it. Kyrou.
Tone.
No, but I mean, like, I think sometimes there's some revisionist history with Vladimir Tarasenko and how people viewed him prior to that Stanley Cup run. Starting in 2015 and going up until 2018-19, like, there was a lot of talk about whether or not you could win with Vladimir Tarasenko as well.
Kyrou's biggest problem was he'd quit shifts. People talk about how Kyrou quits on plays. Tarasenko would go out for 10 seconds, and if the shift didn't work, he'd go back to the bench.
Yeah. And people got extremely frustrated about it. And I remember players at the time talking about how nobody wanted to be on his line. There were guys on the roster that did not want to play with Vladimir Tarasenko. I've never once heard that about Jordan Kyrou in the last couple of years, at least, where guys like playing with Kyrou. He's unselfish. He is somebody that is willing to, like, make plays for others. Yeah, he's not going to go into the dirty areas necessarily. That's not his game. Thankfully, they've got Pius Suter or Braden Shen and Dylan Holloway to be able to do those things for you. So I think that last scenario of them winning in the postseason, that's the thing that really probably is most likely to unlock fans' appreciation of what Jordan Kyrou brings to the table. It's got to be that. They've got to do some winning in the postseason, and we're a long way from being able to find out if that's going to be possible this year or not.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if he does something that hasn't been done since Vladdy or does something that hasn't been done since Dimitri, like, it's something that sets him apart from the narrative of Jordan Kyrou. It's where Robert Thomas, I think, shifted a lot of opinions, although I'm sure people were in because he had won. But he was viewed as a superstar because of his playmaking ability. And then you had the season where he put up, what was it, like 60 assists, 70 assists or something like that. And it was the shift because we had the conversation with Berube of a superstar in the making. I think Kyrou's going to have to get to uncharted waters for people to change that narrative. It doesn't have to just be winning, but I don't think it can just be the consistent 35 and 65 points.
If he puts up 40 goals with the kind of defense that we saw 2 years ago, people won't care.
Oh, I disagree with that.
With the defense that we saw 2 years ago? 2 years ago, he was like a negative 35 in his plus minus.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant last season.
No. Last year's defense was average.
Yeah.
By any NHL standard, not just Jordan Kyrou.
If you play poor defense, people aren't going to care.
That's what I'm saying.
But 40 goals with an average defense, 40 goals with a guy that...
Yeah, it's one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
Like, how many... I know we've looked this up before. I forget. How many players had 40 or more goals last year? I just think it's such a high bar to clear.
I mean, if he does 40 gols with average defense, he's Pasternak.
It's 7 players in the NHL last year. We're asking him to be a top 7 goal scorer in the NHL?
Yeah.
I just think we're having these unrealistic standards that we're holding him to that we don't hold for other players. And I don't really understand why we have to do that with him.
I mean, those standards are held for every one of those players on that list, though. Those standards, every single season, people expect it from those guys.
And those guys are making $12 million. They're making 50%.
Keller's making 7.
Sure, for 1 more year.
2 more.
And then he's going to get 12. And that's in the middle of Jordan Kyrou's prime while he's making 8.
But Keller did 86 and 90 points.
While on this contract. That would be like on the contracts that Jordan Kyrou is signed on right now. 5 years from now, Kyrou getting to that goal.
But what I'm saying is the expectations are still there for those guys. And the expectations for Kyrou, I think, are where he's at. But to change the narrative of Kyrou, people want more.
So what do you think Kirill Kaprizov's contract?
It's going to be like $14 million.
Okay. So that's what the expectations are for a $14 million player. Brady Tkachuk signed what, 10?
No, he's like 9.
$9 million. So his next contract. What do you think the next contract for Brady Tkachuk is going to be? Because that will be signed while Jordan Kyrou is making 8.2. Brady's at 8.2 right now. He's got 2 years left after this. 12, 14, $15 million for Brady Tkachuk, most likely.
Probably somewhere around that.
And that will be, again, during Jordan Kyrou's current $8 million contract that he has signed while the cap continues to rise. So, yes, these players that we're talking about here, the company that he has kept thus far, they are expected to score more than Jordan Kyrou is. That is the expectations for all of them. They are also being paid accordingly or are about to be paid accordingly. Jordan Kyrou is not. That's the value of this contract. You have 6 more years left after this one at $8 million as the cap continues to rise and as these other players that are his peers continue to make more and more and more against that cap. So if he is making 60% of the salary of these guys that we're talking about, and he is producing at 80 to 85% of their levels, isn't that considered to be a net positive for you? Am I losing people?
I would say it's a net positive for you.
I lost Alex. Coming up in 10 minutes, is there any scenario in which you would be open to Miles Mikolas returning in 2026? If that didn't lose you, this will. But next, we're going to dive into the junk drawer here on 101 ESPN. With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. All right, let's dive into the junk drawer. T-Bone, what do you got for us today?
Guys, when you go to the movies, do you want a immersive experience? Like you feel like 3D? You want to maybe be in 4D where maybe they're splashing water on you if you're at that?
That absolutely not. 10 years ago, I would have said yes for the immersive experience. Now I think it would make me sick.
Yeah?
I'd be fine with it.
So, have you guys seen the new Steven Spielberg movie that's coming out called The Long Walk?
Is that with DiCaprio? Oh, no, that's the, oh, yeah, I've seen
It's got
previews
Mark
for it.
Hamill in it. Otherwise, outside of that, I don't really
It looks really
recognize
interesting.
the cast. But it's basically like...
Stephen King?
Stephen King.
Is it based off of a
Sorry, I
book?
said Steven Spielberg.
Oh,
yeah.
is it based off of a book?
It's based off of a book. And
King.
what it is the premise of the movie is like kids are in this contest, I believe, and they have to walk. And when they get below 3 miles an hour, they end up, making it end for the kid. So it's one of those kind of dark, kind of, I don't know if you'd call it futuristic, but kind of games that they in this movie.
Kind of like
Dystopian.
it's Purge-esque.
Dystopian. That's what I was looking for. Well, Lionsgate, who I believe is the one who is producing the movie, is holding a screening of the movie where instead of being sitting in your chair watching the movie, you are walking on a treadmill and you have to keep at the 3 miles an hour that they kept
Oh, that's a really interesting concept.
for the movie. And if you go below or you step off, they take you out and you don't get to watch the end of the movie.
That's a really fun concept.
I was saying,
I would
would you
definitely
wanna do
that.
it?
No. It's a
I
good
think
idea.
I
I would not do that.
I think I could last, because I think it's like a 2-hour movie. I think I could walk 3 miles an hour for...
I don't want to do that while
2-hour
watching a
movie.
movie, though. I want to relax. I want to enjoy it. I wouldn't be watching the movie if I'm doing that.
I think it's a really cool idea. Like, it's not something that I would want to do, obviously, for every movie, but not every movie has this concept.
Yeah.
So if the entire premise of the film is you have to be walking at least 3 miles an hour or you die, I like the idea that I have to be walking at 3 miles an hour or I get removed from what I am hoping to do, which is to watch the film. I love it. I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I would want to do it. I think I think the movie looks good. I'd be willing to try this because I like the idea of kind of being immersed in the experience of having to walk 3 miles an hour. The one thing, though, that I would, the one thing that sucks, though, is like, you can't really eat popcorn and then enjoy the movie while I'm walking.
It becomes a different experience. It's not your typical theater experience. This is it's immersive, to use your
Knowing
word.
me,
Yeah,
I'd
I like
get a little distracted too, and I'd probably take one side step and then slip and fall and get launched off my treadmill.
So far, it's getting great reviews, by the way.
Yeah,
This
I do.
movie
It's
is
really good.
not the 3 miles an hour thing of what Lionsgate is doing. But
I think there's some interesting stuff coming out to the theaters. You got the new Leonardo DiCaprio one, which you were referencing, which I can't remember what it's called. Something
I still have not seen. Did you guys see Weapons?
I saw
the movie?
Weapons.
I have not, but I do want to see it. It did
I've
look
heard
good.
very good things about that. People really liked it.
Yeah, look, when I saw it, not with no spoilers, like I thought the script and the idea of it was great. I just thought it didn't deliver the way I was expecting it to. But yeah, this long walk looks awesome. The DiCaprio one, I'm not sure. Like DiCaprio's always good, but I don't know.
It's hard to name a bad DiCaprio movie, so it makes me think it's got to be good.
What was the one where he was like buried himself in the carcass? That one was terrible.
Oh,
It won an award, so I'm like in the minority, but that one was terrible. Was
fights
the
the bear?
Revenant? Is that what it was?
Oh, yeah.
That one was terrible. But I don't know, like DiCaprio's in this weird stage for me, so I don't really know what that one's going to be. And then the Conjuring one that's coming out looks great too. That's getting good reviews.
Yeah, I saw this and I went, I could see where you guys would enjoy wanting to walk on a treadmill.
No,
I
God, no.
actually thought Alex would be in on it.
Yeah,
But
no, absolutely not.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll dive into some NFL quick hitters. We'll talk to Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, at 1:30. But coming up next, is there any scenario in which you'd be open to a Miles Mikolas reunion in 2026? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to select entries and win money all season long, and you can play right now, yes, even in the state of Missouri. That's what I'm doing for Thursday Night Football, one night away from the return of the NFL season. Alex, for my first entry over on Underdog for this NFL season, I've got a Saquon and Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown. I've got A.J. Brown going over on his receiving yards, or higher on his receiving yards, and I've got CeeDee Lamb going higher on his receptions as well. Put that all together, I've got 6 times my money over on the Underdog app.
Playing on Underdog is easy. You get your entries right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash, and you can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code BKO. That's right, BKO, to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. Again, promo code BKO. Millions of fans have already won billions making plays on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Alongside Alex and T1 on BK. So is there any scenario in which you would be open to a reunion with Miles Mikolas next season? Alex, last night, Mikolas was good. He pitched well. And I know the Athletics stink, but that is a pretty decent lineup. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, only walked 1, did not strike out a batter, by the way, last night.
That
but
checks out.
Made it through 6 innings despite only throwing 67 pitches. So his ERA on the season is now down to 4.9. If you want to look at where that, I know. If you want to look at where that ranks, don't laugh too much yet, T-Bone. If you want to look at where that ranks on the Cardinals in their rotation, 3rd. It's not the worst.
Who's second? Is it McGreevy?
It's Liberatore. Oh, if you want to include McGreevy. McGreevy is technically second. So it's right now Liberatore's first, somewhere. Sonny Gray second, McGreevy's in there, and then, Mikolas, Palante, and last is Eric Fetty. Is there any scenario where you guys would be open to a reunion next year with Miles Mikolas?
Is there any scenario where I would be open? Absolutely not.
Okay.
That ship should absolutely sail. I thought he was better at home, and God, no, he is not better at home. So...
he is. He has a 3.4 ERA this year at home.
Why am I? I was looking at first and second half. The difference on that one.
He's twice as bad on the road as he is on the road or at home.
Yeah, I was looking at first and second half. So my mistake. But it's time to cut ties with this one. You've seen it enough. There's no benefit of this. I guess if you're going to go down the path of why would you do it, it's you're not going to be good next year and you're going to be bad. So why not bring him back so he can eat innings for you? But I would much rather go out there and find younger pitchers to see what they can do rather than just bring back another Miles Mikolas.
What if he's minimum? League minimum?
Nah, I wouldn't bring him back still. I think, though, they are going to have to add a
It's a future
veteran.
Hall of Famer in your Hall of Fame here. in St. Louis, most likely.
Yeah, that can be true, while also him not being back next
Also,
year.
if he's a future Hall of Famer for the Cardinals Hall of Fame, woof.
I mean,
I think he's got the
probably
numbers
is.
for it.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
I think the numbers back it up, but I would not bring him back, and I think it is really just comes down to one thing, and it is, or I guess it's two things. One, you need more swing and miss in your rotation, and as last night's 0 strikeouts show you, he doesn't have it. And though he can be an innings eater, the problem, though, is now he has too many outings where he's not an innings eater, right? He ends up getting blown up, and he's out in like 2 1/3 innings, and he burns through your bullpen. So he's not the same innings eater that he once was. But two, they just need change for change's sake. And though they are going to probably need to bring in at least one veteran starter, maybe 2 if they can acquire pitching in trades this offseason, they should just be willing to change the roster for change's sake. And if you go out and you sign a guy, and the name's not sexy, I mean, he's in AAA right now, but like Andrew Heaney, if you go out and sign a guy
He
with...
said nobody thought he was worthy of a roster spot, but
The Dodgers,
you will be
Dodgers
here.
are stashing him. He's got playoff eligibility, and the Dodgers know what they're doing. But I just use him as the placeholder here of like a guy that will get like $1 million or 1 year, like $5 million deal, come in, be a guy that's like the 5th starter in your rotation, has a little bit of swing and miss. But the reason I say like you look for swing and miss in these guys is if they have swing and miss, they can become, if they pitch well, somebody will look for that guy in at the trade deadline. It's hard to picture, even if Mikolas puts together a good year, someone really targeting him at the trade deadline because he doesn't miss any bats, so nobody's going to believe in what he's doing.
Yeah, I asked the question. My answer is no. There's no scenario. Like Jose Quintana, I would rather have. Quintana made $4 million this year. Mm-hmm. So far this season, he's started 21 games and has a 3.7 ERA. It's not a high bar to clear, man. Nobody wanted Jose Quintana. He couldn't get signed until spring training. Missed a little portion of the early part of the season, and now next year he's probably going to get a similar contract, $5 to $7 million. He's going to make nothing, and I know the Cardinals are trying to penny pinch right now, and whoop, can we find any more quarters between the cushions and the couch? If you find a few of them, you could get Jose Quintana, and I would just rather have him than Miles Mikolas, and they're not going to cost a whole lot different in terms of the money next year. I would rather bring back Steven Matz next year than have another season of Miles Mikolas in the rotation. I would rather see them bring Charlie Morton in next year than have Miles Mikolas as a Brody Veer rotation. Charlie Morton's 1,000 years old, but at least he can strike guys out. He still throws decent velo and has swing and miss stuff. I'd rather have Tyler Mahle next year than Miles Mikolas. Like, all of these pitchers to me are far more interesting. There's no upside. We've seen this now. 0 upside with Miles Mikolas, at least with these other pitchers that you can go out there and acquire. Hell, Nestor Cortez, I'd rather have him than Miles Mikolas next year.
I'd rather have Curtis Taylor or Aaron Wilkerson.
Taylor for sure. Wilkerson, I don't know.
I legitimately, the team's going to be bad. I don't care. I just don't want to keep seeing Miles Mikolas take the mound.
I think that is probably the most common perspective among Cardinals fans right now. I don't care who it is. It can't be him, is basically what it is. And I do think they should try to aim for some upside. Like, I do kind of care who it is. I think that you should go out there. Even Michael Lorenzen would be a fine person. Like, go get somebody that can be in your rotation at the start of the year while you're waiting on Quinn Matthews to show he's 100% ready to start at this level. There's no need to rush him because you're not trying to compete next year, clearly. And then whenever your young pitchers are ready to go, if they push Michael Lorenzen or whoever else you decide to bring in next year, Steven Matz, Jose Quintana, whoever, whenever they push those guys to the bullpen, cool, sounds great. You can promise them a spot in the regular season to start things out in your rotation, and then as things continue to progress, maybe it's Andre Palante who has to kick to the bullpen. Whoever it ends up being, cool, great. But that's the direction that I would want to go, and I have no interest in Miles Mikolas' return next year.
And every one of those guys that you name there have been traded over the last 4 years at the trade deadline, and teams have given up assets for. Like Quintana, for example, when the Cardinals acquired him, you know what they gave up for him? They gave up a young starter in Johan Oviedo. Like, the Pirates got a decent asset in return for Jose Quintana. The Royals traded for Lorenzen last year at the trade deadline. These teams won't be bringing these guys in to be upgrades, to be like in their playoff rotation. Some will use them as maybe a number 4 starter, but they're mostly brought in to be potential swing guys when they get to October. But mainly for the final 2 months of the regular season, we need that guy as help because we're dealing with injuries, and teams give up assets for it. And that's what you're making the signing for. It is protect your young arms at the beginning of the season for the Cardinals, eat up some innings, be able to kind of establish where you're at by the time you get to July, and then be able to move on from them and bring in a couple more assets. They're probably mostly lottery tickets, but they are more chances to throw that dart on the dartboard and see if you end up hitting.
They do need to sign some of these guys.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to have to probably sign 2 or 3 of the names that we've mentioned.
It's kind of why part of me thinks the Cardinals will bring him back. I don't know how Heimblum thinks. My hope is he thinks differently, but if this was John Mozeliak, Mikolas is back for a one-year deal.
I totally agree, and I think that will be the first moment where we see, is this actually going to be different? Be the first sign.
Yeah, because he's not going to make minimum, but he's going to make very little.
Yeah.
I could see the old Cardinals regime when I used to get pre-mad. Mikolas would say, I want to be here, and they say, cool, 1-year deal.
I would have assumed that Mikolas was back next season.
I think we'd already had the press conference.
John Mozeliak was still in charge.
Yeah.
Since he's not, I am currently under the assumption that he will not be back next year. If he is back next season, I think it's a really bad look for everybody involved.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's not a good message.
no, I don't think they're going to do that. I can't imagine, because that would have to probably be one of Heimblum's first moves as the president of baseball operations. And for you to announce yourself by saying, hey, look at me, I'm the same guy as the last guy that you hated. I don't think that's the direction.
What if it's like the last move? Would it change it at all?
I think it
Because
depends.
I think the kind of signings we're talking about are the late spring training.
They
ones.
make 3 trades that,
like they trade
signify their
Newbar.
changes. Gorman or Donovan gets traded.
Yeah.
They go these like
And you're like,
untapped
wow.
guys that you're like, oh, I could see potential here. And then the last one is, hey, Miles Mikolas is back on a 1-year, $5 million deal.
Ow.
So the other thing that I would add in here,
By the way, we couldn't trade Sonny Gray or Arenado.
while we are talking about the rotation for next year, one thing I don't want to see them do, and I think this is a fear that I have. Like, I do not necessarily fear the Mikolas thing. I do fear this. I fear that ownership is going to say, not signing any of those dudes. Figure out your rotation. Like, you do it with the resources that you have.
That's a good ownership.
Whether that be internal improvements via the minor league system, or you got to change your roster. You said you got to make trades, right? So you got players to trade for the major league roster, trade for pitcher. Trade for guys that are ready to go at the major league level. Mo used to do this. You go do this, Heim. And I'm like, wait, what? I thought we were changing some
if
things
that's the
here.
tone that the Cardinals have is like, Mo used to do this, well, then Heim is set up to fail.
That's my fear. That my fear is that they will get to the offseason and he'll be pigeonholed into the return of, hey, in return with Lars Nootbaar or Brendan Donovan or whoever they decide to move this offseason, you have got to acquire cost-controlled young starting pitching at the major league level, because when you do it that way, dude, you're really severely limiting, A, the number of teams that you can actually talk to, because there are only so many teams that are willing to offer that kind of pitching, and B, the upside that you're able to get. Because typically pitchers like that are available are like Brady Singer, where you know what they are. There's no real upside there. Brady Singer would help the Cardinals, don't get me wrong, but he's not somebody that really changes the outlook for this rotation. My hope is that they bet on higher upside pitchers that are further away, but that requires them to go back to the pool of starting pitchers that are in the free agent market, and I don't know what their appetite is to do exactly that this offseason. If you believe in the reporting around the team, it sure seems like the appetite is zilch, zero. Derek Gould said yesterday in his chat, I don't expect them to be active in the free agency market at all. If that's the case, then they're going to have to make trades to bolster this rotation, because as currently constructed, this can't work. There literally are not the numbers to construct a major league rotation next year unless you're converting multiple bullpen arms to becoming starters, and that seems highly unlikely to me.
And that's even got a ceiling to it, too. Look at Libby. He's hit a wall.
Sure, yeah.
Like, these guys, like, you can say, okay, sure, that gets you through July, and then what are you doing from August to September? Because if we're being honest, if the Cardinals had answers, you're not seeing Liberatore, you're not seeing Palante right now in this rotation.
Agreed.
They just don't have the answers for it. And that would be my fear, is they do that and they burn out like Kyle Leahy, for example, because I think that's what they'll try. And then they also rush the prospects as well on top of limiting their return. Like, they could totally even mess this thing up even further, which is weird to say because it's already going very poorly.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to talk to Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues. But next, NFL Quick Hitters here at BK and Ferrario.
Tanner Hendrickson here to tell you about my friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, which is coming soon here to the Show Me State, and you can sign up today. New Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets when they launch on December 1st, so download now and place a $5 bet when DraftKings Sportsbook goes live. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you're going to need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we go live in Missouri here, you'll be betting with the sportsbook trusted by millions. It's safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use my code TANNER to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. That's code TANNER in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. All right, let's dive into some NFL quick hitters. Alex, earlier today, I was looking at ESPN.com. They had a piece up on who Bill Barnwell thinks is going to make it to the postseason this year. You want to go through this with me?
All right, here we go.
Bill Barnwell is a fellow nerd. I say that affectionately. And he put together his playoff picks. He said, I got to have at least 3 division winners that will not make it again this year. That was one of the prerequisites for his piece, because that's on average what you see year over year. Kansas City Chiefs, you guys think they'll make the playoffs this year or not?
Yeah, yes. Unfortunately.
He did too. He's got them winning the AFC West. The Buffalo Bills, we all have them in?
Yep.
All right, he did too. In the playoffs, AFC East champions. Philadelphia Eagles, you guys got them in?
Yep.
Yeah.
Us too. He's got them in the NFC East champions as well. The Baltimore Ravens?
Put them in.
I have them in.
All right, we're all on the same page. Detroit Lions, do you have them in the playoffs and or winning the division?
I have them in the playoffs. I don't know if I can say they're winning the division, though.
Yay or nay? As of today. You can change this tomorrow if you want to. We'll do our official predictions.
I'll say yay.
They win the division?
Yep, they win the division.
I think they win the division, and then by that, they won't make it into the playoffs.
I have them in the playoffs not winning the division, though. He also, Bill Barnwell, had them in the NFC wild card. Houston Texans. How you guys feeling about the Texans this year?
I saw this piece, so I know who he, A, has in the AFC South, and B, what he thinks of the Texans.
It's pretty interesting, huh?
Nah, he's a nerd.
Yeah, my guess is because of the tone you guys are stating, he's not going to have them in the playoffs.
Do
Because,
you, though?
Do I? Yeah, I do. I think they win. I think they win the AFC South.
If you believe in it, this division stinks. You could sell me on the Titans, and I would actually listen to it.
My assumption is
it's unlikely, but I'd listen.
My assumption is he's got the Jaguars winning the AFC South.
He does indeed.
Yeah.
The Texans, he has missing the playoffs entirely. The reason that I mentioned the Titans, like last year, it would have been laughable for you to suggest that the Washington Commanders would not only make it to the playoffs, but then would go on a playoff run. But everything changes when you get the quarterback right. And it's possible Cam Ward's just really good. Cam Ward has looked good thus far in the preseason. He's got a couple of at least interesting weapons for him offensively. I think they've got a decent running game. They have an excellent offensive line coach. Things could come together rather quickly for the Titans. And in that division, if they put it together and they win 10 games similar to the Washington Commanders did a year ago, all right, you're talking about a team that could win that division. I don't have them there, but I would understand the case for it. The LA Rams, in or out of the playoffs for you guys?
In and winning the division.
Oh, really?
Just like the Texans.
I don't have that, but I have the Rams in.
Yeah. I think as of today, I will have them missing the playoffs. It's not because I hate the team. I think they could win the Super Bowl this year. Really do. I know that sounds weird as a range of outcomes, but the Rams are one of the teams that I have the worst handle on right now. I'm just going to sell against Matthew Stafford's health, and because of that, I will say they missed the playoffs entirely. If he stays healthy for the full season, that'd be fun as hell. He's a great quarterback to watch. I'm going to bet against it. That's where I'm at on them. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the division a year ago. Do you guys have them making the playoffs this year?
Yeah. I have them winning the NFC South.
I do not. I have them missing. I have the Atlanta Falcons winning that division.
I do too.
I don't trust the Falcons.
I don't
trust
either.
Anybody in this division.
Yeah,
I trust the Buccaneers before any of the other teams.
The problem
their
with the
receiver
Bucs are so
issues.
hurt.
Yeah, they have a left tackle problem. They have receiver problems right now. Godwin's out, plus McMillan's out. They're going to need a Buka to step up in a huge way. As a rookie, that's just a lot to ask. They are also losing their offensive coordinator from last year. That kind of stirred the drink for them. So I'll have them out. I think they could be a decent team, 7 or 8 wins, but I've got them missing the playoffs. The Green Bay Packers. Do you guys have them in the playoffs this year? I have them in the Super Bowl.
I don't have them in the Super Bowl.
So did he, by the way.
I know.
Bill Barnwell had the Green Bay Packers winning the division and going to the Super Bowl. I have an ally.
I lost a lot of respect for Bill reading his PC because I went, this sounds a lot like the guy I do a show with.
Yeah, sounds like a nerds unite. I have them in. I have 3 teams from the NFC North in.
I like it.
I don't have them winning the division, nor do I have them winning the Super Bowl. I have the Vikings.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have the Bears yet. I got to see Caleb Williams not be bad before I can believe on that team.
Yeah, I think the Packers will get in. I think the Super Bowl aspirations is a little strong. I think they're a team that could win a playoff game. Okay. I got to see more from Jordan Love. I feel like we've been talking about him for 3 years, and I've still yet to see it. And maybe it's finally the year it all comes together for him. But until I see that next step, the Packers cannot be a Super Bowl contender.
Okay.
Calm down over there.
I think they can be, and I think they will be.
Their
the Vikings, you guys have them in? Alex, you have them in. Mm-hmm. T-Bone?
I don't. I think it's going to be kind of rough and tumble year for them.
I've got them under on my wins total.
What was their over-under? Do you remember?
It's 8.5. Okay. I'll have to check it out.
Because I think they could be around 500. But I worry about J.J. McCarthy. I'm afraid he's not the answer. And the defense is really good.
9.5 is their win total.
Oh, yeah. I would really hammer the under on that. Because I'm thinking 7 wins for him this year. I just think the McCarthy's not going to be able to do enough.
L.A. Chargers? In or out?
I think I'm going to have them. I haven't even really looked at this yet.
What? Season starts tomorrow.
No, I know,
man.
but I haven't done predictions or anything yet. I think I would have them in.
Okay. What about the Broncos?
I'd have them in too.
The Raiders?
No.
You trying to put the whole division?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where he's at on the division.
I got 1 from the South. I got 1 from the East, 3 in the West, 2 in the North.
I say
7? That's 7.
I've got the Broncos and the Chiefs in from this division, and I've got the Chargers missing.
I do too.
I've got the Chargers missing. I think the AFC is too strong outside of this division, and their schedules are very difficult this year. So I've got the Chargers missing.
Yeah, I have the Chargers missing as well. The division is tougher now, so there's 6 games that are really difficult on their schedule just in the division alone. And I just don't know about their whole, we're going to run the football first mentality. You got to kind of throw it in the NFL. I think they got away. I didn't really buy them a lot last year, and I think they kind of take a step back this year. They're relying on a rookie running back to take over for, was it Dobbins that was there last year? I think they miss. I don't know. I don't have a great feel on them.
where are you guys at with the Cincinnati Bengals?
I say playoffs.
Yeah,
Because he's got them in the playoffs. He's got the Falcons, the Bengals, the Cardinals as his 3 new playoff teams that did not make it a year ago. How do you guys feel about those ones? Cincy, Atlanta, and Arizona.
I don't trust Arizona or Atlanta. And I understand the stipulations he put in, so I don't even know who I'd put in that didn't make it last year, but I think Cincy's one of those teams that gets in. I can absolutely see this going south fast and them being a terrible team. I think their offense at least keeps them close to being a playoff wild card squad.
I've got them missing. I don't trust that defense, man. I think Joe Burrow could have an MVP caliber season again, and they find a way to miss the playoffs because of how bad I expect that defense to be. And I would say the same thing on Arizona. I just don't know if they have the blue chip talent to be able to do this.
I don't trust Kyler Murray.
I think Arizona's a really interesting team next year. I think they're a year away from really doing much of anything, though, in terms of the postseason. So I've got them missing as well. I do also have Atlanta. I have Atlanta winning the NFC South. Atlanta and Jacksonville are my 2 teams that are like, all right, let's see it.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to go ahead and bet on this.
How confident that answer was.
I think so. In NFC, I got Eagles and Commanders. I've got Rams. I've got Lions, Packers, Vikings, and I've got Buccaneers. And then AFC, I got Bills.
So say those again.
So I have Eagles winning the East, Commanders as a wild card.
Okay.
I have Rams winning the West, Lions winning the North with Packers and Vikings, and then I got the Bucks winning the South.
So isn't that all of the teams that made it a year ago?
Yeah.
So you should have the same playoffs from last
again,
year.
his stipulations, I'd have to I think I would probably switch with his stipulations. I'd probably put the Seahawks in, and I guess by default, I'd have to put the Falcons in.
No, that's fine. You can have the same playoff teams. I was just curious.
I don't trust most of those teams in the NFC to
in
switch
the
them
AFC, do you have the same playoff field?
up. Bills, Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Ravens, Bengals,
So
Texans.
the Bengals over the Steelers.
Yeah.
That you would have. So you are.
So
your
I'm changing
current,
one team.
as of today, prediction would be you flip the Bengals and the Steelers 1 game. That's all it would take, and everything else remains the same that it was a year ago.
I like it.
I mean, it'd be as much stability as we've seen in the NFL in a really, really long time.
It's just some of these teams I don't trust.
It's tough, man. This is the year where I think that I have less of a feel for the way that things are going to play out than I have in a really long time.
I think the divisions that are up in the air, I think the NFC West, I could see the Seahawks or the Niners winning that one, and in the NFC South, I can see the Falcons winning it over the Buccaneers.
That's why I'm willing to lean into the uncertainty. I'm willing to say, all right, normally I would have this. I'm leaning into the same teams that we know are going to be there. I think that the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Eagles, I trust all of those 4 teams.
I just seem to
Beyond
default.
that, I don't know, man.
I just seem to default to the coach and the quarterback that I trust. And Stafford doesn't
That's
have a back.
reasonable.
He's got epidurals, but I would assume he's going to be good for half of the season. And I just trust McVay more than I trust any of the other coaches in that one.
He'll be fine.
Which is why the Buccaneers,
If we're being honest, Jimmy G's one of the best backups in the league.
Despite the
Every coach
injuries,
loves him.
Yeah, that's why he's still around, baby.
I just trust the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield before I trust the Falcons and Penix.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN.
Okay, I'm going to be willing to bet that one of the things in your house that is most out of sight, out of mind, is the air filter in your air conditioning unit in your furnace. But did you know that if you clean that and change that regularly, once a month or so, that is the single best thing you can do to help maintain that unit in your house? How do I know that? That's what the folks at Classic Air Care told me. They are experts. They came to my house. They fixed the unit up. They made sure it's ready for the summer. And every month I've been changing that air filter. Now, because it's out of sight, out of mind, they know it too. Go to their website at classicaircare.com. Click on air filters in the upper right-hand corner. You can order your air filters right there, and they will deliver them straight to your house. That way you know when it gets delivered, change it. They can come to your house. They can maintain the unit. They can get you ready for the fall and the winter. If you haven't had the unit maintained and checked out, you should have it checked out before the winter. You should have it checked out before the summer, and they will be there as well for you. It's Classic Air Care. A 4.8 Google rating because the customer service is great. Go online, book an appointment, or order those air filters at classicaircare.com.
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals took down the A's yesterday 2-1. The rubber match of their 3-game set is tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Matthew Liberatore will get the start for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. Happy to go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by the voice of the Blues. He is Chris Kerber, and he joins us each and every Wednesday throughout the NHL season and the offseason as well. Kerbs, appreciate the time, man. How you doing today?
BK, I am doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing very well. So, Kerbs, earlier today, we got into a conversation. I would say discussion, maybe a bit heated, about Jordan Kyrou and what the expectations should be for him moving forward. Kerbs, how do you think it will be received if this is what Kyrou is and he never becomes a true 40-goal scorer, but he's consistently in that 30 to 35 goal range, average to below average defense, and 70-ish points per season?
I don't think that's going to be good enough. So, to me, I think the goal scoring is going to be good enough, but I think in today's NHL, you've got to, you can't be if you say average, maybe, but you can't be the average to below average. You've got to be, if you're going to be in the top 6, you've got to be above average. You really just do because of the amount of ice time. So to me, if you're getting the 30 goals and the 70-plus points, I think in today's NHL, from a point total, he's probably, underachieving what his true potential could be. Guys, 40-goal scorers really are elite, as you know, and it's so hard for St. Louis Blues to get a couple of 30-goal scorers on a regular basis anyway, right? That has not been a strong suit in at least the last 25 to 30 years. So to me, look, if you're getting 30 goals, if you're getting 75 to 80 points, close to a point per game from Jordan Kyrou, offensively, that's terrific. Defensively, he's got to be on the above average. Doesn't have to be elite, but just has to be above that average line, I think, to really make a difference, because I just think every one of your players in your top 6, when the heat is on, they've got to fit that bill of being above average. Otherwise, I don't think you win with below average in the playoffs. I just don't think you can do it.
Kerbs, do you think what's best for Kyrou's kind of trajectory is playing with Dylan Holloway, or do you think that he can be what he was last year without Dylan Holloway?
Hockey's Alex, as you know, it's such a fascinating sport. Like you don't necessarily see the best play with the best work out, right? Not all the time. So to me, I don't know really how to answer that question other than with this one. I think what you really saw from a line with Holloway, Shen, and Kyrou is something that you can be excited about. I think they were playing hard. When you talk to Braden Shen about his wingmates, both Kyrou and Holloway, he was extremely complimentary of them. I think he complimented it. I think there are certain aspects of, say, Kyrou's game that Holloway's speed and physicality kind of made up for. And that then allowed Jordan Kyrou to be more of another type of player. So to me, I like that line, the way it looks, and I don't know if we're going to see it. I don't know if it's going to be there. But I guess on the Kyrou front, I think what would really be good for him, I think what really, really would be helpful for him is a really good October. You know, doesn't have to be off the charts. Don't have to just absolutely, tear it up. But an October where he's finding success and then the team is finding success because of that. That's something that hasn't happened the last couple of years. He's gotten off to a slow start. I think that has led to the mounting pressure throughout a season. I think a good start to the month of October for Jordan Kyrou would be a real plus for him.
Chris Kerber's the voice of the Blues. He joins us here on BK and Ferrario each and every Wednesday. Kerbs, final question that I've got for you is we're now, 2 weeks away from the start of Blues training camp. What to you is the biggest storyline at Blues training camp this year?
Well, I think there's two of them for me that are going to be a 1 and a 1A. The first one is going to be how does the center position stack up behind Robert Thomas? How does 2, 3, and 4 look? What are the interchangeable parts there? And then the second big storyline is how much rope, how much room does Logan Mailloux get to really begin his NHL career? They feel he's NHL ready, and so you will have ice time battles in that 5th and 6th spot between Tucker, Kessel, and Mailloux. So, I guess the first storyline is I got to figure out if it's officially Mailloux or Mailloux. So I'll get that done when we get to camp. Okay, but once we get that one done, then that other storyline will come in. Those are the two for me.
Hey, Kerbs, I asked this question to JR on Tuesday because they had a list out in terms of just players or prospects under the age of 23, and they were ranked by Corey Pronman on The Athletic. And the Blues had 7 guys in that top 123 or something like that, but all of them were kind of ranked in that bubble top line player, but probably projects as a middle 6 forward for the Blues. Is that good enough for the Blues to have these guys that they invested a lot of draft capital in to be middle 6 forwards as they project in the NHL?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely good enough right now, especially when you consider that you've got Buchnevich under contract for 6 more years, Robert Thomas under contract for 5 more years, and I'm putting Snuggerud right on the on that top line as well there. So, yeah, to me, if it's line 2 or line 3, and these guys are really good for there, I think the Blues are in some great shape.
Chris Kerber is the voice of the Blues. He's back on the call this year. We're looking forward to talking with him each and every week as we get closer and closer now to the start of the St. Louis Blues season. Kerbs, enjoy yourself, man. We'll talk with you again next week.
All right, fellas. Have a good one.
See you, Kerbs. That's Chris Kerber joining us here on 101 ESPN. By the way, Blues and Brews is only a couple of weeks away. It's coming up on Friday, September 19th at the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. Get fired up for the Blues season at this outdoor street party. It includes live music from Grammy-nominated trio The Band Perry, plus appearances by Blues players, alumni, food trucks, on-stage festivities. It's all hosted by 101 ESPN's Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale, and there will be so much more. Tickets on sale right now at 101ESPN.com for Blues and Brews, presented by Bud Light, 101 ESPN 92.3 WIL, and by Scott Lee Heating Company. Coming up next, we'll hit the rewind here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
That 101 ESPN app is super easy to use. It is free to download, and it is always sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Center. You can join TMA at the return of the Lemmings Open Friday, October 3rd at Oak Valley Golf Course and Resort. That is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Get your foursome together to join Tim, Martin, Doug, and Jackson for a day out on the course, including breakfast from Donut Drive-In, lunch from Lion's Choice, an after party with food from Smalls Sliders, and all of the Michelob Ultra beer and seltzers that you could ask for. Registration opens this Friday morning at 8 a.m. with a portion of the proceeds benefiting Birdies for Bipolar. Find all of the information on the Lemmings Open right now at 101ESPN.com. I'd give today's show 8.4. Thought it was a good show. Opened up with about an hour on the Jordan Walker discussion. So if you missed any of that, definitely check it out. In the 12 o'clock hour, got into a discussion about Jordan Kyrou. And then in the 1 o'clock hour, I enjoyed our conversation about Miles Mikolas and why he should not return in the Cardinals rotation for 2026.
I thought we had a lot of good conversation, so I'll say an 8.8.
Okay.
I like the conversation. We had an awkward moment in the 12:30. If we want to really address it, 7 point.
It's just an awkward silence.
Yeah.
7.3. That's a low one.
Oh, it was a very awkward silence.
Okay.
Very awkward.
Okay.
Very awkward.
Take it out.
Now, look, I will
Should I
accept
get a
some of
thigh
it.
tat?
No. No.
Well, now I'm down to a 7.8.
Yeah. I'm down to a 6.9.
Really took it down. The silence wasn't awkward. That
My
was
buddy
awkward.
got one, and I think I want one. I think I would like to get one. I think that's the move.
Couple of
I
follow-up.
want you to know this is not said as a anything towards you, but you are the least likely person in this building I would expect with a thigh tat.
Maybe that's why I should get
I
one.
told you when you brought this up to us a couple of hours ago. I think two things when I see somebody with a thigh tat.
Okay.
That guy could kick my ass.
Okay, well, that's not me.
D-bag.
Okay, well, I'm the latter.
Yep. So checks out. Go get
See,
a thigh tat.
not the least likely person to get one.
Like, I
Tim.
would never get an armband because I know I can't pull that off.
Sure. I would like to get one. I would like
would
to
too.
have the
I can't even get an arm.
attributes to.
Yeah.
Allow
By the way,
myself to
I
get
can't
what
get
are
an
you
arm
wanting
sleeve.
for your thigh tat?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I think I want a thigh tat.
No, you won't. I thought you had something in like the back of your mind.
I mean, I would love to have the legs to get like a full sleeve down my
should
leg.
you
That
should
would be
get-
ideal, but come on,
should
man. You
get
guys
a
have seen them.
Walker home run swing on your thigh.
That'd be a real
Yeah.
loopy swing.
Yeah.
I could get it changed as the years progress.
Nah. From like a Cardinals jersey to
Drops
Memphis
lower.
Redbirds.
It just drops lower and lower.
Yeah, we could work on our launch angle. As
It
he
would
works
launch
on it,
lower
we
and
get
lower as you get
and
older.
BK walks up to him. See what I've got right here? That's what your launch angle should be as he lifts
No,
up
I'm
his
thinking
pants.
about my current idea is stick figure people.
A what?
So it's me, my wife,
Oh.
and my son.
Oh, like the bumper stickers that people have on their
Get
minivans?
that, but as a thigh tat.
Oh, God. All right, now you fall even further
Thankfully,
into that D-bag
We're only getting
category.
either 3 or 4 of them, depending on what we decide with one more kid potentially.
You're going to get the
Because
dog.
otherwise, I
You're
don't
gonna
have enough room on
Yeah.
my
Gonna
leg.
get the dog,
There's not
too?
a lot of surface area.
Yeah, you got to get the dog on there.
No, that's okay.
Whoa.
Listen,
wow.
man, she's already 9.
I'd stay away from the thigh
not
tap.
a whole lot of time left for being
Still.
real.
No, I would get it.
Stay away from the thigh tap, man.
You think?
Yeah. Stay away from the thigh tat.
What's the ideal spot? Like, I want a tattoo at some point
I
in
don't
my
think
life.
you can handle the pain of
thigh
a thigh
tat?
tat.
Oh, I'd be fine. Thigh tat.
I couldn't handle the pain of the thigh tap.
Back tat. Ass tat. What's the ideal spot? I don't understand.
Well, depends on who you're trying to impress for the ass tat, if it's an ideal spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where the ideal spot is. There's a reason I don't have one. It's because I don't think I have an ideal spot for a tat.
Would you want one?
Oh, yeah, I've always wanted one.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would
Your
want.
canvas just isn't
Yeah.
inviting.
Apparently. I don't know what I would want, and I don't know where I would get it.
Okay. Well, 0 for 2 thus far. Maybe, I know where I want to get it. Now I'm 1 for 2. And maybe I know what I want.
No, I don't think you know what you
Maybe
want,
I
and I don't think you know where you want to get it. You think you want to get it on the thigh.
I think it would be a good look.
2 minutes into it, and you're like, stop!
Well, once you're in,
You're in.
yeah, you can't just stop.
I don't know about that. You could tell them to stop and then leave and then have like a part tat.
BK comes back and he does one of the episodes and friends, look at my tattoo.
And
it's a
like
dot.
Yeah, it's a part smiley face. Sorry, I couldn't get the rest done. This was
Hey,
just
that
all I
wouldn't
could
be the
handle.
worst thing as I'm running, because you have to wear the short shorts sometimes when you're running. You got a smiley face. Maybe that's what I get.
Why do you have to wear the short shorts while you're running?
That's just a thing.
More
you have to.
Longer, they chafe
aerodynamic.
more. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
As a runner, I know.
Oh, you're deep into the running philosophy these days?
I remember I had short shorts when I played soccer. We'd have our running where we'd run like 3 miles.
I said get it on the ankle.
The ankle.
It's another option. I've heard that hurts really freaking.
Well, yeah, it's just all bone. Yeah. Thigh would too. I mean, that's just a lot of sensitive skin. You got to go where the dead skin doesn't matter, like your butt.
Merp the Barbarian says BK gets a stick family tattoo. BKO divorce incoming. Come on, man.
Yikes.
Wow.
All right, let's not wish that upon anybody.
You guys have any final thoughts on the Jordan Walker situation today?
Yeah, he's running out of time.
Cardinals are done with him. That's about it.
Do you really feel that way?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the Cardinals are beyond frustrated, and they're done with this parade of, oh, he's going to be our everyday outfielder. We just got to give him a chance. This was their last straw, and if you don't start making changes, they're not going to play this game anymore.
I don't know what to make of it because I don't know how. In theory, you can't go into another season with a guy that has the worst WAR over the last 20 years from anybody that was 23 or younger with his amount of plate appearances. But I also go, man, you're in a rebuild. Like, is it the end of the world if he just kind of stinks it up again next year? Now, his value goes down, but his value's already pretty low. That's what I just don't know.
But see, why would I play a guy that's going to stink it up when they've already said that Alec Burleson is an everyday player and Ivan Herrera needs an everyday position?
It's why I would put him in the Gorman role going into next year, which is, hey, you're not there. We're keeping you here because we believe, but we got to see it behind the scenes, and then your limited opportunities you get to earn more playing time. And to Gorman's credit, and yeah, Burley did it too. But to both those guys' credit, they took off. Right, Gorman's been playing very well.
To be fair, Gorman has not been good for like 3 weeks now. He's gone the other direction.
They're good for a little bit. Yeah. They're bad for a little bit.
Yeah, other than Burley. Burley the entire season has been good for the Cardinals.
Which is why he's an everyday player, which is why they've made him an everyday player.
To be fair to Gorman, that's always been Gorman.
Yeah, and I don't know who's the other outfielder right now?
Herrera.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Or DH. Like that's I don't know what Herrera's role is going to be next year. It could be just he's your DH and occasionally plays in the outfield and occasionally plays at first base for you, and 3 days a week he's as your DH.
Well, and I don't think they're going to be aggressively trying to move Brendan Donovan. I think he's going to become one of your outfielders.
And that's where we disagree. I think they will be aggressively moving Brendan Donovan in the offseason. I think him and Lars Nootbaar, my bet today would be that they're gone. I don't say that with any malice towards either of them. I think they're both good players and can help a contender, and that's why I think they will be moved. Also, if they're going into a true rebuild, it doesn't make sense to have them here. They're getting up there in age to the point where, and salary, it just doesn't make sense to have them. I personally do not think they're done with Jordan Walker. I think this was all right, we got 1 month left of the season. Let's see if this pushes you in the right direction. Hopefully we get some return on the investment here. We get into the offseason. You saw some positive reinforcements on the changes that we're trying to make. And then as we get into the offseason, we'll continue along in that direction. He's Alex Ferrario. That's Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Brandon Kiley. Expecting to have Jeremy Maclin on the show tomorrow to help us preview Mizzou versus Kansas. Border War is back. NFL is back tomorrow night as well. We'll get into that all tomorrow. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.